University professor Bethany Latique has claimed that marriage promotes white supremacy, to which local resident Braden Smith responded, "Finally, someone said it. I've been trying to explain how problematic marriage is to my girlfriend for 17 years, and that by tying that knot, we might as well be tying the knot on our Grand Wizard outfits."
Smith continued, "As much as I would love to take a vow to only smash one woman for eternity, it's just way too racist. You heard what the professor said. I could never do that to black people."
Bar owner Jamal Green responded by saying, "I knew something about holding an expensive ceremony with this woman I've only been with for 12 years was not sitting right with me. But now I realize it's because of racism," before asking the news team how much enrolling his wife in that lecture might run him.
36-year-old firefighter Jose Lopez is quoted as saying, "I see no difference between wedding vows and screaming the N-word," and states that he also felt there might be something white supremacist about dinner with the in-laws and asked if that professor abroad could take a look into that as well.
The boys.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The lads.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The dudes.
Prepare yourself for BOYSCAST.
The bros.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The homies.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The dudes.
Experience the BOYSCAST.
The boys. Cast.
The Boys Cast. Boys. Lot going on right now. There's Trump news. Elon versus Lemon's been popping off. There's a new term alert. Changing your gender has been a very hot prison tactic for the boys.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Oh,
I mean, really, you're a chump if you're not changing your gender to get in the ladies' prison.
Not the move to go straight guy. You know
Crazy.
what I mean?
What, you want to fight some dude in the yard or you want to fight some chick in the yard?
Balenciaga is at it again. Now, this is crazy because, so Balenciaga right now, this time it's a $4,400 sticky tape bracelet.
Seems like a good deal.
So put this on the screen.
There's some hype beasts are watching this right now being like, yeah, that seems like a pretty good deal.
They've really taken it to the extreme this time. They've outdone themselves. They are currently selling a roll of tape that you put around your wrist.
Yeah, but it's a roll of, some super rich family too buys that because it's like they have just indispensable amount of money and then like the kid just uses it at some point. They go, you know what, that was so last year, just use it.
Well, you know what I was sort of thinking? Because it's like you always sort of see these fashion things and you're like, what are they doing over here, buddy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you think about it, and the real thing is, it is the perfect business model because no woman who has one of these bracelets is buying it for herself.
No.
Right? So you go, it's only being bought from a rich person for someone else.
Yeah. Well, a woman might use her husband's money for it.
Possibly, but I don't think any woman who made her own money's buying this shit.
No.
Right? This is from the girls who are like, I love to travel, I love collecting bags, and I'm broke.
Yeah. I mean, they're Balenciaga genius, though. They're like,
Genius.
They're just like sitting around and they're like, meeting of what's new, and they go... just like stuff that's just like on the desk, and they go, what about this?
Okay.
What about this stapler? But we say Balenciaga. It goes fucking
Water
genius.
bottle cap necklace. There we go.
Water bottle, no, that's too much. Just water bottle cap.
No, it's like two eyeglasses. So basically, it's a sleep mask made of eye caps.
Dude,
$8,000.
Yeah, people will buy it. It's gonna sell out. Joke's on Ryan.
Well, they're just taking. We made a shirt and there was some scraps, and we turned that scrap into a neck scarf.
Yeah, and people buy that shit.
But this one's pushing it to the max. It's like they honestly can't believe people are buying this. But I think that's when you actually boil it down. You're like, it is the perfect business model because it's kind of like the wedding ring industry where you're like, everyone knows it's a scam, but the girl doesn't care because she's not paying for it. So it's like all around the perfect thing. And it is, I have dated a bunch of girls like this. Because it is a contingent of women that especially like sometimes they didn't grow up rich.
Yeah.
So it's like all they know is I want to be seen as rich.
Sure.
So I want this guy to buy me the stuff that is included as rich. And you go, all I need is for Balenciaga to be like, rich people have this. And then you go, well, I want that.
Yeah. But the problem though is so few people, like if you're walking around with a tape thing around your, like on the streets in New York, most people are like, what the fuck?
Well, then you have to constantly been like, oh, you don't even know.
Yeah. See, I like what the tech billionaires are doing. It's not working on women, but like the super rich people who are just like, we actually just
telling us to buy crypto and saying that's our bracelet.
No. They dress from like, they buy their shit from from Costco. You know, they're so
course.
rich, right? Where it's like the thing where like you wear a nice watch until you're so rich, and then you
Dude, the
just wear, like, an
fashion
Apple.
industry must hate guys like that. The billionaires that are just like doing it normal.
Yeah.
It must drive them nuts.
Yeah, but they still have all the kind of middle rich people who just are. They just have so much money. There's a certain people who have so much money that the interest accumulating on the money they have, they just can't spend.
Okay, but here's the thing. You always hear kind of people that when they're talking shit about billionaires or whatever, right? They'll be like, someone will donate like $10 million and then everyone will kind of be like, oh, that's like $1 for him. And you're just like, okay, when was the last time you gave someone $1?
Yeah, exactly. When was the last time you gave a homeless person $1?
When was the last time you gave someone $1 if it's just $1?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that you don't do the version of that that's equivalent to that.
No, of course not. No, they don't do that. But should we
Like
start?
if your chick was like, hey, I want this thing, it's $100 and it's like a piece of lint. Like you wouldn't do it.
No. That's of course.
But I think it's a very specific demographic. And the reason it was sort of making me laugh is you kind of have there are a lot of women that are just like hot and and it's very hot girl type of behavior where they go, you know, I don't have a job and I like collecting expensive bags.
Yeah.
Love fancy
their
trips.
personality.
Right. But has there ever been a guy that's like, yeah, I'm unemployed, sleeping on my buddy's couch, and my hobby is collecting Rolexes?
No, fuck no. The closest thing to that would be this is almost like Supreme for, you know how like Supreme just
It's not
was
a
like,
million billion.
No, I know, but that's like the equivalent. Supreme's like we're putting our logo on absolutely anything, and then like if you have a little scrap of money,
But even a watch, though, at least it is a watch.
yeah, of course, and it's. I mean, that's the difference with a watch or whatever, even any sort of jewelry is. There's some expectation that it'll reasonably hold its value, whereas this in 2 years, someone's gonna be like,
Well, that's not holding
no,
its
this is
value.
like this chick is gonna be like, I'm starting an online business that loses $20,000 a month, and part of the expense is when I ship stuff, I use the Balenciaga tape. You know what I mean? Like just wrapping shit up.
By the way, you know one thing we talked about last week, the Kate Middleton thing and the royal family speaking.
That, by the way, that photo that came out of her, I don't know if, because I saw Piers Morgan, he's like, this puts the conspiracy to rest. I'm like,
Piers Morgan sort of said.
I'm like, that doesn't look like either of them.
I don't know what put it to rest. I'm probably
Dude, there's a video.
Here.
There's a video of them at like a market or whatever somewhere, and
then there's a new video of her, and people are saying it doesn't look like her.
Well, but it's like she's walking around. It looks like it's filmed on like a BlackBerry. You're like, you couldn't film this. Nobody had like an iPhone to whip out to film the fucking king and queen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's like this grainy video, and you're like, no reason for this to be grainy.
So I'm not really commenting on the conspiracy because it's sort of a girl conspiracy and it's whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
But the interesting part to me was when you looked at it, you go, Kimmel, Fallon, Colbert is fucking all over this. He's foaming at the mouth. He finally has a conspiracy that he's participated in and it's fine, right?
Oh, sure.
And it's interesting that you go, so why is that conspiracy okay? It's like Colbert's whole thing is like the royal family's hiding one of the girls, and there's this big conspiracy, and you're just like, okay, but these are the same people that anyone that says anything's going on, there's anyone in the government that potentially is making some decisions behind the scenes. You're like, this guy deserves to be kicked off the internet, never hear his opinions. So there is a part of it where you go, these guys have never met an unacceptable conspiracy that they aren't like staying away from, as if it's got like a electric fence around it.
Yeah, third rail.
So the fact that these guys are so on board with it means it's probably not true. Almost.
That's true. It's the super safe, just like that.
Well, just the fact
Russia
that-
collusion, and
Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, for sure.
Like when has Colbert been right about what he considers to be a conspiracy? So it's almost.
That's a good point.
If you just look at people's batting averages, you go, every time there's something that's right, he's like, you can't talk about this, you're wrong. And then he sort of eases into a little bit 2 years later. And then this one, the whole thing, they're just like, they're lying. The royal and the royal family's powerful. You know what I mean? This ain't nobody.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about.
So my point is, they're probably so far off the target. It's kind of like, it's like saying the deep state, but your opinion is you're like, I think the UFOs are running the world. You'd be allowed to say that.
Yeah.
So my
there's
point
acceptable, and
there might be something going on, but they're probably not close to the target, because if they would, it feels like they'd be getting like a, hey, you guys can't be talking about this.
Sure.
So that's all I'm saying.
There were, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That is a good. I mean, again, I would just do the opposite of anything Stephen Colbert says generally.
What I'm saying.
So I would just be fading Colbert. But there was another
so
photo.
wrong
There was like a
always.
big family photo with the Queen that came out, and apparently, like, the royal whatever was like, yeah, this is all doctored too. Like they came out and admitted that.
I think there is obviously probably wacky stuff going on, but I don't think anyone's hit the nail on the head with what it is.
What it is.
And that's probably why that's so acceptable, is because they're not even close. They're like, do you know what I mean?
I mean, there might be a reasonable explanation.
They're like, she has cancer. She's going to come out in 2 weeks, and then everyone's
It
going
might
to be
be
like,
she has cancer. It might be she's just like, hey, she's married to this dude. She basically can't.
they're divorced.
No, not even that. She just like can't go out in public. Like maybe maybe I'm eating the slop here, but maybe
I think
she's
you might
like,
be eating slop.
maybe she's just like.
I think it's
dicking
probably
around
most
with-
likely there's probably trouble in the divorce, and then there's they're with other people. They've been sort of separated for a while,
Yeah.
and they're trying to figure out how to handle that. And then this thing sort of blew up, and now they're panicking to figure out their story of how to deal with
There
it.
is something that I just love.
And there's like the kids involved, so it's like there's some other kid that's like
Yeah.
not technically his kid. So if they got to figure out what they're gonna do if that guy's gonna be the king.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I saw
So
that.
there's like all
I
this
saw
funny
that one where
business
there
they're
might be
trying to figure out.
a bastard child.
Yeah, so I think all that
Yeah,
stuff's
I don't
probably
know.
true, and that's probably kind of what's going on.
You think so? And
Probably.
that's why like the photoshopping of the photo. She was like Photoshop the photo because there's like an extra kid. I don't know.
I don't know about that part.
Yeah, I think she just might.
No,
yeah.
my
I
point
don't
is
know.
not that there's something not going on.
Yeah.
My point is that whatever those guys say probably isn't right.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe bet right there, for sure.
He's just fucking wrong.
They got us talking about the royal family. There was last week. There was actually a minute where they go because the flags in Britain somewhere got lowered to half mast, and then I think like Russia said that the king died because he got cancer right now, and so that's people were saying that. But again, that has nothing to do with. I don't know why she would be photoshopping photos of her family.
because they're scrambling to see who's going to be
Yeah,
the
because it makes.
successor.
Well, I think it's William though. I think that's known for sure.
No, but then next in line, they
Right,
got to figure out this
right.
kid business, I guess.
Isn't it Harry, or is he out of the mix? I don't know. This is turning into a chick podcast.
I told you, man. I told you.
There's a bunch of fucking chicks being like, "Who's next in line?" Can Meghan Markle be the
My mom loves the fucking crown
Oh,
bullshit, dude. She
That's
fucking slobbers over it.
Canadians are in terms of like because Americans do not give two shits about that really, other than maybe just like newsworthy. But Canadians,
My mom
have, like,
legitimately
some
gets
Canadians
fired up
have
if you try to talk
such
shit about
a-
Meghan Markle.
oh man, Canadians have such a just like, especially older ones. They just
My mom's on that. Like if I talk shit about the Leafs to someone,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you shut your fucking mouth.
We do not besmirch the royal family.
So here's probably the craziest news that's hilarious. You posted this actually. Time to stop using the term long COVID as symptoms are no worse than the flu, Queensland Chief Health Officer says.
Yeah.
So this is a blow to people. People are having a meltdown,
Oh,
right?
I love all the people being like, "This is fake news." All the people instantly, like the moment any study comes out and you go, "This is my identity," and then they just go, "Well, here's why this is not true."
Can you believe?
Do we trust health officials or do we not trust health officials?
Buddy, I got tagged in a video yesterday from someone who listens to the podcast, and I'm not going to play it, but it was a girl going on this big, long, drawn-out story. It was too long to. It felt like it was kind of boring. But
Yeah.
basically, the gist of it was she was talking about. This came out 2 days ago. She's like, my friend decided that he's going to stop masking. So, and then she was going on how I had to cut this person out of my life. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know how.
Oh, that was
I
like
couldn't
her
believe he would
husband or
do this
something.
to me.
Yeah, she's like leaving her husband or something.
Yeah.
I saw that. I mean, look.
I thought it was a friend, but maybe it was that.
Maybe it's, I don't know. Anyways, I mean, there's no shortage of these.
So these people are seeing this. You said this is what you said. You're like, next they're going to be like fibromyalgia's made up. These people are melting down like the Wicked Witch of the West with this news.
Yeah. I mean, look, if this is your identity and they're, I think some people are getting disability payments over this. So there might be some cash on the line here. You might have to go back to work if all of a sudden the government's like, "Hey, turns out it's not. Turns out you're
Yikes.
just lazy."
Buddy. Do you know what the thing is? Do you remember when they talk about people that are schizophrenic?
Yeah.
They kind of say the one thing that you're not supposed to do is tell them that what they think isn't true. Like if someone's like, the government's coming for me and I'm the fucking, the king's son or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like apparently telling them like, hey, you're John and you're making this up. is actually breaks them more, because like when brains start to believe something, it actually, all it can do is make them go crazier.
Interesting. I didn't
That's
know
what they've
that.
talked about. Yeah, that's kind of people have talked about schizophrenia a lot, like dealing with a family member. It's like you have to really like ease them into the idea that
They're
what
not
they
the
think
king.
is. Yeah, it's like a tough one, right?
Yeah.
But what? So if someone's whole identity, everything is like I have this disease. No one will admit that it's real. And some people I found my community that finally knows I'm like that finally knows I'm telling the truth. And we know that like I can't walk anymore and all this sort of stuff. And then basically all these studies come back and they were just like, yeah, after you get the flu, like people have known to have a little like brain fog for a little bit. It usually doesn't last that long and it's not that bad.
It's not for life. Definitely not. No, you know how many people have already like told themselves they've had this whole inner monologue.
I'm disabled.
But
They're
for
calling
life,
themselves disabled.
for life though, right? Like this is,
Yes.
they go, oh shit, like I have.
I need
long
an
COVID.
elevator installed on the government dime in my property.
It's like
I
a
can't walk upstairs.
25-year-old like going up the stairs in the chair, you know, because they're like, fuck, I got long COVID. Yeah. I mean, that would be tough. That would be
something
tough.
crazy about Canada.
What?
If you're over a certain age, you can get an elevator installed in your house from the government, and then my dad did it.
Oh. Pretty sick.
The government pays, so they have a couple floors in the house.
Yeah.
It's a normal house, and the government will install an elevator in your house. He fucking
Like one of those ones where you go in the door, or is it one of the ones with the chairs up the thing?
in the door.
That's a
And we're like, we're all killing him on it. It's like, what are you got a fucking elevator in your 2 stories? What do you think you are? And he was like, it's free.
It goes free elevator.
Because the government.
I do remember I had like the odd friend when
Because
I
they
was
were building the house, and then you just basically put the thing in the government, being like, I'm an old man.
right, and they go, hey, I need an elevator.
Fucking the government dropped 40 grand.
I remember I had the odd like rich friend when I was a kid who had an elevator in their house, and then but it would just be like a door.
Do you know how slow this motherfucker moves?
Yeah,
I
not
swear
only
to God,
are
you could have
they.
walked up and down the stairs 40 times.
I mean, they're all so slow, and they're never practical. Like you never go to someone's house and you go like. It's
No, you
nice.
have to
It's a nice house, but your house is not that big. You need a fucking elevator. It's like
No.
for if you're
no, they have to
disabled.
convince you of reasons. They're like, well, you know, sometimes you're bringing in food, or you have to, you know, you bought a cabinet. And yeah, there's like every now and then you can
Sure.
think of some reason.
I think movers for life is cheaper than installing a fucking elevator. To
No, the government's not paying for movers for life.
That's the problem. Good
Not wild.
Good old Canada.
Apparently, everyone over 60 is just like, woo, elevators.
Will they put one in after the fact, or it's only on a new build?
I think it has to be being built.
Being built.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can't tell them to, because they can't really. They have to be a part of a new build.
Yeah. That's. I mean,
It's pretty funny,
well,
right?
I mean, I'm sure that.
So I guess
that's
there isn't that
some
many,
sort
but-
of value added to the house. It's not worth nothing.
I don't know, man. I think it might be worth less. You're just like, okay, so the square footage, and then you walk in and you're like, okay, so a bunch of that square footage was a fucking elevator.
You would. I would assume if there's an elevator in a house, like this place is going to smell like an old person forever. You know, what I mean? It's going to have that old person smell.
You're not going to be able to get rid of it.
Finding Werthers everywhere.
So they said it was 3% versus like 3.5% or something, like 3.4%. So basically they're saying it's almost exactly the same as the flu, except a few more people might have it from COVID.
Okay.
But essentially, and for all intents and purposes, it's the same deal as you had like a bad flu and now you're feeling foggy for a few months.
Yeah, and maybe you're a little tired or whatever. Your body's just slow to recover. But
Well, that's why I think a lot of people too, you go, well, I'm feeling like more tired and all that stuff. It's like, well, maybe because you didn't leave your bed for a year and a half. That'll fucking
I mean,
have some
you
effect
convince
on you.
yourself you're sick. Your brain is pretty powerful.
I know.
Like,
Mine is. Yours isn't. But
You know when people are just convincing themselves that they're just sick, and you go, yeah, I'm a sick person. It's like a Munchausen.
dude, girls really can convince themselves of wild things. So this isn't just girls. There's been a couple of them, but I want to play this one because it's especially good. So girls get this. So people get this foreign accent syndrome where they're essentially in a coma and they wake up and they say they have a foreign accent.
Because that's the thing. We both know this. Doing an accent's tough.
Well,
This
why
one-
would you have an accent though? Why wouldn't you just speak the foreign language?
That's a good point.
Because you don't know how to.
Well, you don't know how to, yeah. But I guess maybe at some corner of your brain you've heard the accent so much, so like it can be learned. So maybe like that it's too much of a, because I don't know if you can't do that accent. Like if you woke up, and you can just do this accent.
Like if I woke up with an accent, you'd be like, I'm like,
It must be like some head
I have
trauma.
Scottish accent syndrome, and people would be like, no, you don't.
That's Russian again. But I mean, if it's a good accent.
It's usually Asian. There's a couple
Yeah.
people that went with Asian, and they always go with pretty
Is it ever
acceptable
men?
accents.
I've never seen a man who has it.
It seems to be mostly girls, but I seem to remember a guy having a Chinese one.
That's so fun. That is the funniest. Like,
Well, no one ever has Indian. They always. There's never
the heads
There's
bobbing
never
all of a
been a guy waking up from a coma being like, "Oh, thank you for waking me up. Come again."
yeah. Man, I don't know.
Well, listen, but she has Irish accent.
Go today, I woke up speaking with a Welsh accent.
Russian.
9 months ago
Welsh.
today,
Welsh.
I lost my identity. I lost part of who I am. And how have I coped? Not very well, I'm not gonna lie. It's been the longest, hardest 9 months ever.
9 months?
I mean, no one knows how long I'm gonna have this accent for. It could go, it could stay, it could change.
It can
Anything happen.
change.
That's foreign accent syndrome for you.
Where is she from?
Do you think anyone's ever had foreign accent syndrome that hasn't heard about foreign accent syndrome?
Or like is from Africa? Do you think one African person in just like some sub-Saharan village just woke up one day
It's a
and they're
very
just like,
Western disease.
like,
you
oh,
get.
what's up, bud? Hey, how you doing there, bud? And they're like,
yeah. An African guy wearing the loincloth.
yeah,
in the
like all
forest.
this shit with a spear, and he's like, "Oh yeah, look at that tiger over there! Fucking took a whole yard sale when it spilled on that sand."
New York.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, hey. Just the forest of Africa.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very, very crazy how
all
Always-
white women so far.
all white women so far, and it doesn't seem to be accents that you've heard a bunch. I guess
Is she near? Like, I wonder what her
my
background.
buddy actually got foreign accent syndrome after he went to Jamaica for a week.
Yeah, that does happen.
He came back.
M.R. got that too.
You do tend to get a bit of foreign accent syndrome when you come back from Jamaica.
Australia too. Australia's one where some people go live in Australia.
I know
for
a
2
few
years.
girls that went to Australia for a month and a half and they came back. Everyone's mate this, mate that.
Yeah. And they got like, you know what?
They also get foreign accent syndrome from visiting there.
I mean, look, it's women have been saying it forever. It's more difficult to be women, and that's just one of the things where they get these. They're
That's
cursed by long
correct,
COVID.
yes.
They're cursed by foreign accent disease. Sometimes at the same time.
It's a good point. Oh, you got long COVID? You haven't left your bed? You're like, oh, I don't know what to do, mate. Okay.
I've got another ailment in it.
Dude, if I was ever dating a girl that tried to fucking bullshit me on that stuff,
I mean, it's a hard thing.
she wakes up, she was in a coma gets in a car accident and wakes up, she goes, oh, top of the morning to you. And you go, no, we're not doing this.
But if she keeps it up, at some point you have to be like, look, I've never heard you do an accent, and it's a pretty like if it actually sounds right, then you have to think like,
Well, maybe they can do accents. It's probably always someone that's
girls
pretty good
can't
at
do
accents.
accents.
Is that a
What
new
is
theory?
it? What are we talking about? 1 in 1,000?
You don't know girls that can do accents? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Are men better at accents?
Probably.
I would assume men are worse at accents, if I'm being completely honest. And the reason is because probably I feel like girls they can mimic people better.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Now that I say it,
I bet you there's a lot of girls that start dating a hood dude.
Yeah.
Like doesn't have to be black, white, whatever. Like a guy from the projects.
Yeah.
And then they start picking that up. Like, oh fucking. I bet you there's a lot of girls that dated like a fucking guy who speaks like with a gangster accent, and then she starts doing it too.
What if your girl bumps her head and she's got the Toronto man's accent? She wakes up.
Yeah.
Yo, on cheese found still. You go, oh, this is not gonna work out.
Yeah. Your girl gets in a car accident. You're like, oh my god, you're waking up. She's like, yo, honestly, it's like cold in this bed still for real, yo. Honestly, yo, tutus, get me out of here, bro. And you go, what the fuck?
You just be bonking her on the head all the time.
Yo, this doctor, isn't even fucking coming to help me, yo. I need some fucking food, yo. Honestly, for real, dog.
Yeah, I mean
You're like,
that's the thing is she could just pretend to have long COVID. Like if she's trying to have some sort of sympathy for some sort of play.
Trying to get something.
But you're like long COVID. That's a hard thing to keep up. Like imagine you have to talk with an accent all the time.
I know.
That's very difficult if you're. So I don't know.
I was in DC this weekend. A couple of funny things. One, It's an interesting place, DC. And we met up with our buddy, and his wife works in like the Democrat Party, and he was telling us there's a lot of division over the Israel-Palestine stuff, like real split down the middle, kind of older, younger.
Yeah.
Said that's a big problem with the party. No one's excited about Biden. That's another little tip. All my tips are not, all the tips are not good.
Hot tips.
I don't have very many good tips on it.
People seem to be concerned about Joe Biden's cognitive decline.
I was trying to get some tips. I wasn't really getting any tips.
Hot tips. Yeah.
That was the hottest of the tips.
That was like when what's his name?
People aren't that excited
James
about
O'Keefe.
Biden.
Remember when James O'Keefe trapped that one guy on the gay date who worked with the demo, and he's like, "Yeah, we're worried about his cognitive decline."
That really was not. That was
not worth the BJ, James.
But I will tell you, so DC's 40% black. Did you know that's pretty?
I did. Don't you remember the Dave Chappelle used to have a joke about how bad DC was?
What did he say?
Just how dangerous and bad it was.
Well, I'll tell you what it's dangerous for. Every single black guy in DC has shaved head beard. I've never seen more. We walked into a restaurant. There was 14 men with Michael Jordan on top.
Yeah.
That's like common, I guess, has that look.
Yeah.
And it is true that, a lot of white guys were doing this too.
Common.
The thing is, I think in the last 8 years, dudes figured out if you're going bald, shaved on top, beard,
Black
manicured.
dudes.
I think there's white dudes that kind of figured this out.
Yeah, but that doesn't. You still look kind of off if you're a white guy.
But my point is, the spot's been blown up.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I swear, you look around, the entire restaurant is bald black guys with beards.
Sure there wasn't like a convention going on?
I thought there might have been.
Town.
There's Kimbo slices everywhere you look, dude.
Slice.
It was, I was like doing a double take. I was just like, is there one barber?
Yeah.
So, but it's been blown up, I think.
Okay.
Like, I feel like if you're a guy that was solving the problem by going beard bald,
yeah,
you can't, it's every single one of them has it.
Yeah, but again, you have to be black. Like if you're if you're my complexion and you go bald, like if I'm losing
I know lots of guys who've done that.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It looks better.
Maybe it looks better than the alternative, but it doesn't look good.
Black bald
looks
with beard
good.
was looking good.
Yeah,
but
I
it
agree.
doesn't look good when every single person has it. It looks strange. By the way, we had the most stereotypical Uber driver. He picked us up in Baltimore. And then he was telling us about church, and he just came from church, and he was like, "Oh, the food spread at church this morning."
Yeah.
He's saying shit like that, right?
So
and he dropped us off at this bar that was like a chicken and waffles place, and then he stood out afterwards. He's wearing a suit. After he drops us off, he goes, "I might hang around here for a little bit." He stands outside the chicken and waffles place with his fucking cell phone case the size, hollering at girls.
No way, really?
This guy comes from church and gets out of the car.
You got a clean slate of sins.
We're eating and we just see this guy. He's got the fucking cell phone case the size of the moon. He's just, "Oh, how you doing, sweetheart?" He's picking up girls outside. He just comes straight from church, does one Uber driver, and picks up girls outside. I think this guy was the best.
Oh, so I guess some guys haven't got the message on the whole catcalling stuff.
But what I was sort of the reason I was bringing this up for, I bet you it's interesting, and you can tell me if you think this is a theory or not, but it feels like the demographics of like the city that all of the politicians live in, like DC is it's very liberal, but they all have like a very specific like way of thinking. Politics is everyone knows someone who works in politics. They're all one removed from
the swamp.
big politician. It's the swamp, right?
Yeah.
That's like just a career path is like, I'm going to go work on Capitol Hill and all that sort of stuff, right? Or in one of the newspapers or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Something in politics. And so everyone that's sort of like the political, tastemakers or, policymakers, you can imagine why if you lived there, black issues would be very on top of mind the same way in Ottawa and Canada, native issues are on top of mind. Big lot of reserves in that area, right?
Yeah.
If you look in Toronto, what are they always talking about? They're always talking about international students and stuff that like Indian people care about because it's so much of Toronto's Indian people.
Yeah.
I bet, think about if the capital of America was in Miami, you'd probably hear way more about Latino issues than black issues.
Yeah, Cuban shit. And
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that probably the demographics of a city are like so important on what issues are top of mind.
Yeah, I mean,
I bet you there's not a lot of Indian and Asians there. In America, you don't hear a lot about Indian and Asian problems.
Yeah, because they just keep to themselves. And
okay, but if it was in Silicon Valley, I bet you hear a fuck ton about Indian shit.
Maybe. I don't know, because I know
Bet you
obviously
in Silicon Valley, Indian issues are like top of mind, like visas and HB1 visas. Like those are all like
that's a specific
Those
thing,
are all
yeah.
like small Yes, but in Toronto, think about how much in Toronto you hear all nonstop about that shit.
Yeah.
So my point is, I bet you that the demographics of the city like kind of decide what race gets like the most talked about.
Yeah, I wonder.
That's what you're around.
Yeah, because last time I was in Baltimore, like it is. You would think for how rich the area is and how close you are to the capital, like it's fucking rough areas out there. Like
real rough.
Like specifically really rough.
There's rough areas and rich areas, you know? You're like, you go right there, it's like people, living on the streets, two fucking blocks over. It's like
Obama's house.
Obama. You're
Yeah.
that's the fucking owner of Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, for sure. I know. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So see that house right there? See that neighborhood? That's the C-suite for fucking Raytheon.
Basically. I mean, I think some of the most expensive zip codes in the world are in DC.
Oh, yes. They're not
in
messing
America.
around there.
Yeah. Well, that's because they siphon the money out.
But, so on the topic of DC, boys, taking care of your health isn't always simple, but it can at least be easy. And that's why for the past 5 years, me and Danny have been drinking AG1 every day, no exceptions, including today. Here's a little life hack, by the way. When you open the travel pack, intuitively, you'd want to do it on one of the sides.
Edge. Yeah, you got to
squish it.
Yeah. Oh, made that mistake before.
You squish it together and then do it. That's a better way to put it when I take those on tour. Every day I do it. I've been feeling better because I've always tried to do a multivitamin, and what happens when you take multivitamins is you put them in somewhere weird, you forget to take them, it's hard to get pills into your regimen.
Absolutely.
AG1 every morning, boom, coffee, boom, AG1, boom, protein.
It's the best way is you got to stack the habits.
Gotta piss all day. You do stack the habits.
Yeah, if you put it makes it so much easier if you just kind of add two things together.
I think it also makes it easier for all the people out there that haven't been eating breakfast first thing in the morning, which is what you shouldn't be doing
and
anyway.
you are probably having coffee, and so you're making another drink while the coffee brews.
I do actually do all the coffee.
Yeah,
brews,
I put the coffee on and then I do the AG1.
One scoop mixed in water once a day, every day, makes you feel energized, focused, nourished, strong, ready to take on the day. That's because each serving of AG1 delivers my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, and more. It's a powerful, healthy habit and also powerfully simple. You might be asking, how do you know that AG1's a quality product? Well, I know AG1 every day is giving my body high quality nutrients. And that's a peace of mind that you like to have. Mm-hmm. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process so you know it's safe. And our ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, nutrient density. So with AG1, I know I'm getting the essential brain, gut, and immune health support with vitamins, probiotics, and nutrients from whole foods. I like to think of it as nutritional insurance, covering the nutritional bases right from the start of the day. If there's one product I could recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1, and that's why we have partnered with them for so long. So if you want to take ownership of your health, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/boyscast. That is drinkag1.com/boyscast. Check it out. And now, if you ever tried to break a bad habit and you felt like you're climbing Mount Everest, possibly in flip-flops, or worse, bags tied to your feet with pipe cleaners. That's what it feels like. So you're trying to get rid of some bad habits. We've been there too. But here's a breath of fresh air. Fume. It's not about giving up. It's about switching up. Fume takes your bad habit and simply makes it better, healthier, and a whole lot more enjoyable. I got multiple Fumes now. Mostly at my editing station is where I use them, but I also take them out to comedy shows as well. It's an innovative, award-winning flavored air device, and it does just that. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses delicious flavors. So I know that some of you are out there trying to quit a certain bad habit, and instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. It's got an adjustable dial, and it's for fidgeting. Mm-hmm. It is a beautiful looking piece of wood. Yeah. Right there, people come over to your house, knock on it, and they go, right there.
It's got a little magnet thing on it.
What is that piece of machinery right there? The look is good. The feel is good. good. They've got different cores, which you put in them so you can have different tastes and different flavors. Plus, Fume just released a magnetic stand for your Fume, so there's no more losing it around the house. It's built with fidgeting in mind. You can spin your Fume around on it, too. So start the year off right with the good habit by going to tryfume.com/boyscast, getting the journey pack today. Fume is giving our listeners of the show 10% off when they use the code BOYSCAST to make starting the good habit that much easier. Start the good habit at tryfume.com/boyscast and save 10% off the journey pack today. Okay.
Donald?
I don't have the photo, but I'm going to I went to the White House, and outside the White House, there was all these protests. They're all pretty measly. No one's really paying attention.
Yeah, which one's mostly Palestine stuff?
Palestine. Then there was a couple other things too. Yeah, but there's a lot of Palestine going on. But the Palestine one was the funniest one because it was St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Now there's Ukraine guys, and you do want to go over to the Ukraine guys, and you're like, did no one tell you guys? Like,
hey guys, we're on to a new
we're sort of not doing this anymore. Yeah,
not really.
It really did feel like that. The Ukraine guys was like a measly protest, and you're like, come on. And then I
The
guess
best are like the vets. who
Putin
are
just won his election.
There's
so
probably
they're-
like because we remember when we went to DC and like you leave the train station and there's like all these vets and they're like camped out on the lawn. They're like Vietnam veterans and they're still trying to just get some compensation for like a war from fucking 50 years
You're like,
ago.
buddy, I
You're
don't
like,
know. I'm
you're like,
sorry,
I'm sorry.
pal.
We're giving our money to other countries. I apologize. The decision's been made.
yeah, it really is over for you.
I'm sorry you had to go kill a bunch of Vietnamese people for nothing, but we're just not doing
But they had a Irish day because it was St. Patrick's Day. So there's, 10 people and they're holding a big sign. I should have fucking sent this to you. They're holding a big sign and it says, Biden, get in touch with your Irish roots, ceasefire now. So it's a bunch of, and guess what the people holding this Irish thing looked like? So they're wearing Irish garb, holding a big Irish flag that says, Biden, if you're a true Irishman, you'll stop the ceasefire. 4 hijabs.
Yeah.
So
I
me
think
thinks some of them weren't as Irish as me thinks some of this Irish protest wasn't as Irish as they'd like you to believe.
Yeah, well, I think that's a complaint that a lot of people in Ireland are currently having. Which
So is your theory these people are Irish?
fuck no?
They lived in Ireland and then they moved here? Why would that even make sense?
They maybe are like, I mean, obviously there are people who live in Ireland. Who
So
have
what? They're
jobs.
Irish. So if they were Irish, why would they have been moved to America?
They might be. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
If they were living in.
there.
If they were like
Either they're
Muslims
there
that moved to Ireland, why were they now living in America?
Yeah, they might just be co-opting the. They go, hey, there's a white holiday coming up. Let's co-opt this
Well,
for.
I think that has to be what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, very likely. Yeah,
But it's funny because you still have the gear on, right?
Sure.
It's like a Jamaican guy kind of being like, hey, we're doing like the Russian protest pro-Russia, but you're like, okay, but you're wearing the dreads and the Rasta
Sure,
cop
yeah,
and
yeah.
like a Jamaican flag shirt. Like she was wearing all the like the Muslim gear.
yeah.
Like these were like brown chicks with like fucking headscarves on with like a green wristband. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they figured our point's not getting across the normal ways. Maybe we're gonna.
I think you're
like,
right.
is there some sort of Irish like comparison? Like, was there some sort of similar? Like, is like the
But
north?
why are they
South
better
shit?
off saying like, "Hey, we're actually they think like Biden doesn't listen to Muslims; he'll only listen to Irish people."
Is he? Yeah.
Or they just whatever day it is, they go do that.
Look, Biden
like on
listens-
Halloween, are they wearing like Biden? If you really care about Halloween, ceasefire now, and they've got pumpkin costumes. Like it doesn't. It didn't make sense.
No. And that's why there is no ceasefire because Biden looks out and he goes,
Buddy.
he's the ultimate guy who's confused. You got to like give him layups. You don't have him trying to decipher what's going on here. He goes,
That's what you're saying, yeah.
There's a ceasefire.
They're just—it's kind of like pointing him in the right direction. Like you're Irish, right? And he's like, yeah. You're like, wouldn't you want to help the Irish people?
Yeah.
You're like, what do the Irish people want?
He's
They're
like, I'm not Palestinian. I'm the
Irish.
Irish
But if
or
you
American.
look at that's an Irish flag for Palestine.
Did they have the version of the, like, was it a Palestine flag with like a 4-leaf clover on it?
No. There's just a bunch of like Palestinian people holding a big Irish sign.
Sounds like the pro-Palestine folks are really throwing the kitchen sink at it right now.
I guess they're throwing the kitchen
They're
sink
just
at
like,
it.
okay, well, we tried everything, and none of that's working, so let's try every other.
Well, you mentioned.
I mean, look, if the Jews for Palestine are not able to sway this, I don't know if the Irish Muslims for Palestine is going to turn this thing around.
It seemed like a long shot.
Yeah.
Like whoever in their organizing thing was like, This is okay. I've got the perfect plan. Like, you know,
I got it.
it's like, well, does the Irish lobby really have that much power?
Look, if the guy who set himself on fire a month ago that nobody gives a shit about anymore couldn't do it, I don't I mean, they should maybe set themselves on fire. 8 people setting themselves on fire. Now that would be a statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
especially if there was some Irish stuff going on.
You said they're throwing the kitchen sink at Trump and they're starting to seize his stuff right now.
Apparently that's because he has a 400.
And you said by Monday?
Apparently by Monday he has a $454 million bond and he can't. Nobody will cover it. Like he can't because I guess I think the rule is you got to pay 10% of it, and then I thought the way the bond stuff works is you pay 10% of it, which is and then you get it back, I guess. Or I don't know exactly how it works, but I thought you get it back, but it's for criminal trials. I don't know exactly, but he can't get someone to put up the money. Maybe he needs the whole thing, and so they're just like, all right, well, if he doesn't have the date is Monday.
What are they going to take? You think?
Trump Towers? I don't know. They're going to start taking his property. That's what they would do normally. Like if you have a seat, like it's like how they took OJ's Heisman, you know, like OJ had this huge settlement and he had to pay the government and he didn't have the money. So they're like, we're just taking your shit.
Yeah.
Like they go to that level, like granular level where they're like, we're just going into your house and walking around your living room.
Pop that bad boy in here.
Oh
yeah.
man, he's not going to be pumped.
Like a reverse Santa Claus.
Kind of. He's not going to be pumped though when they fucking take out that gold toilet from his house in Trump Tower.
Is that the kind of stuff they're going to do?
Did you ever see the inside of his place in Trump Tower on like 57th Street?
Never
or whatever?
been there personally.
No, but like photos of it. Looks like a Russian palace. Like it's all gold. Like he actually has a gold toilet.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, well, he had a gold toilet.
Whoa.
Yeah. The
Bloodbath thing was hilarious last week. So
ridiculous.
This is why I was saying when you see Colbert saying something, you always gotta be a little suspicious.
Yeah. It was cool to see it.
Colbert is worse than the weatherman.
It is really interesting to see it in real time though, because you see the Bloodbath thing. You're on Twitter. He says the Bloodbath thing, and then
he said he goes. He goes, if Biden stays in office, is good. What is he?
No, he was talking to the auto manufacturers.
Yeah, the auto manufacturers.
Chinese auto manufacturers to escape tariffs are opening plants in Mexico. They're going to make the cars in Mexico, send them over to America, and they don't have to pay tariffs.
Yeah,
because that's how they get around it. And he said, and he basically was saying, if Biden gets elected, it's going to be an economic bloodbath
in that specific industry,
in the auto industry.
I watched the coverage of that, and it was news reporters one step away from crying, like being like, this is the kind of stuff he's saying. He is calling for violence. If he's not elected, this is a dictator. And you're just like, well, at this point, you can't. They must know they're lying, right?
Of course.
So you're just like, quite the performance some of these fucking newsmen are putting on.
Yeah, I mean, like again, they've been doing it for a while. He was calling them fake news forever, and I guess that's just like what they do now.
The good point is really
I think it's just
it's past the point, because when people are pointing out like, can you see the news is lying? They're just like, that's what we do. That's like saying advertisers are fucking trying to sell you on something.
And look, there's probably a pretty large portion of the United States population that only casually pays attention to the news. And so, you know what, if that's the soundbite they see and they kind of don't care, most people don't care to really go dig into the context. They'll just go to their buddy at the bar and be like, "Did you hear this?"
And then I think your buddy at the bar, you must have a buddy that's being like, that's not what happened, you fucking moron.
Well, maybe you do.
Sheep.
But again, it's like if you're on the right, then you instantly go CNN saying he said bloodbath, you go, that's a lie. Turn on Fox gives the context. If you're a CNN person, you're never voting for him anyways, so what does it even matter, right? That's
a good point.
Like, you're not voting for Trump, so, and they say the bloodbath and you go, yeah, that confirms exactly what I believe, which is that he's a dictator and he's gonna, for round 2 of the end of America, is gonna be the end of the America part 2.
Do you know what's funny about the Trump stuff? Well, sort of I don't know, I guess the Trump stuff, but also sort of ties into the Kanye stuff. But the reason I saw something about it, but Kanye West is, kind of fighting with everyone all the time and blah, 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 right? So
Jews.
All of the lawsuits that he's doing, Milo Yiannopoulos is his head of department right now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And every time I see it, I'm always just like, This is like, I feel like everyone grazes over that. It seems like a pretty big, you're like, this is like crazy.
I mean, his career was pretty in
I
the
guess
dumps.
Nico was working with him too.
Yeah, I mean, Milo's career was like so in the dumps.
Dude, he really is like running this, like, he's like the head guy of this like multi-million-dollar empire now.
Yeah, I wonder, like, I keep seeing ads for all the...
But it's just crazy, like all the letters that are getting sent out. It's just like head of department, Milo Yiannopoulos. It's always like funny to me.
I mean, yeah, I guess good for Milo. I
always look at the comments
Who's he
and no one's
suing?
really talking about
just
it.
people who slander him?
He gets in these fights with people. I think he makes deals with some girl now.
Yeah, some like influencer or
some girl that was doing something with his shoe company and went south.
All right.
And she broke an NDA.
I still wonder.
That was the big one recently.
What his plan is with these $20 shoes and stuff.
I can't talk about his crappy shoes anymore.
No, I don't care.
It's not a good product.
No. Maybe it is. I wonder, has anybody got them?
It's sort of up your alley.
I saw Kai Cenat got his pants or something.
Yeah,
and
he
then
got
he's
two big ones and Kanye was mad at him.
Well, because they only come in 3 sizes. I told you. I went and looked at them, and it's not small, medium, large, or whatever. It's 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Sizes, and you're like, I don't know.
You know what? One of those things.
I don't know what I am.
We used to always like. People always say when you're making films or comedy, it's like you do want to, kind of do something different. But you can't do everything different. Like if you're doing the wackiest movie of all time with like, okay, we're not even going to have like a plot. It's just going to be like one guy in a room. Like don't also make it 15 hours.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? If you're just like, it's the first movie that's 2 minutes and the dimensions are going to be, a perfect square even in the theater. And then on top of that, there's going to be upside down.
Yeah.
And then on top of that.
And 3D glasses.
And it's just like, you can't make every single thing like wacky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what he does. He's like, we're doing sizes different. We're doing this. We're like, it's a new product. Even no one's ever worn this before. It's just like everything's so wacky.
He's a wacky guy, man.
Okay.
He's like the Kramer of rap.
We should have talked about this when we were mentioning the Palestinians, but the first ever Yentacon has been held in Philadelphia for Jewish singles and matchmakers.
Oh, God. I can only imagine.
Have you ever heard of Yentacon?
I have not heard of Yentacon. I can only imagine the noise.
You're saying it's going to be a lot of squawking?
It's going to be a lot of squawking, a lot of meals getting sent back at Yentacon. A lot of wrong orders at Yentacon.
Everyone wanted their money back?
No, they don't want their money back. They just, ask for some variation of the meal, or it's too overdone, or it's too underdone, or just...
You know what must annoy Jewish people a little bit? Because every Jewish guy that I know that's not rich, his like favorite activity is like complaining to get free stuff.
That's just JJ, but...
Justin.
Oh, does he do that too?
Yeah, I know more than him.
Yeah. All right.
Buddy, we went to the Airbnb with Justin. He was on the phone with him for fucking 4.5 hours trying to get $13 back. Well, JJ said he got into fucking free Uber Eats the other day because he said the staple cut his finger. And he was...
No way.
But I'm telling you, he does it for the love of the game, right?
Yeah.
So if you get rich, that's what I'm saying. So if you get rich, it's like frowned upon now. So you almost can't do your favorite activity anymore.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't like. I told you when I went to Del Boca Vista a couple weeks ago.
I forgot.
Yeah, and we had like a meal, and man, the stuff was getting sent back left and right. It was insane. It was crazy. Like, it was crazy to the point where my girl, who I said nothing back ever. Like, dude, I literally. Like, maybe this is gross. I don't know.
Is that true? That it was getting sent back right and left?
Oh man, it's yeah. Like there was 6 of us. I think 4 things got sent back out of 6 people. And she's like, oh, I'm so mortified. I'm like, this is you. I'm like, you do this.
She does do that.
I will take hair. If I get a meal and there's hair in it, I will just remove the hair and I'll eat my meal.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's got to be something crazy like raw chicken.
If Danny gets a pube in his meal, he will just remove the meal and eat the pube. And
floss my teeth for the rest of the thing, being like, nice floss. But it's so funny because the people who work there, like it's almost like they're just dissents because I'm looking at me like and they're just like, dude, it is what it is, like they're all because it's 70. This place is 75% Jewish, like, and there's probably 2,000 people who live there, right? And then they have like this giant like clubhouse area or whatever where like people congregate for on like a restaurant and all that stuff. So they're just dealing with it. They're probably just, unaffected because they're like, you know what? Don't worry. We're just taking this meal to somebody else who just set their meal back. It's just like a game of musical chairs, really, right? Because they're like, it's actually fine. We just beeline it into the kitchen and back out and just like literally never even put it down and take it to someone else and just
I love it.
just whack-a-mole kind of.
That's a good shit, dude.
Yeah, but
So that might be having a Yentacon. The reason Yentacon is funny because it's not exactly what you think. More than 50 women and men from around the world gather for the first ever Yentacon, a conference for matchmakers who cater to Jewish singles, delivering decidedly modern guidance such as Judaism and sexuality.
Oy.
So you
Rabbi Shmuley with the dildos.
Dude, I watched some clips of the rabbi guy, a different rabbi that was defending Rabbi Shmuley with Candace Owens.
Yeah.
That guy's fucking mental.
Rabbi Shmuley's crazy.
No, the other guy that was defending Rabbi Shmuley.
Oh, I don't know who
The
that
guy's a
is.
fucking mental case, buddy.
Rabbi
He was like,
Shmuley sucks.
He was saying that he goes, he said October 7th is worse than the Holocaust, and he said it's the single worst event in history. And he goes, anyone who says that the Jewish suffering is equal to any other suffering, whether that be slavery or anything else like that, he was basically like, that is anti-Semitism. He said you're an anti-Semite and you don't even realize the anti-Semitism. And he kept saying over and over again, they go, anyone that doesn't say that our suffering is worse than everyone else's, that's anti-Semitism. This guy was like,
He said it was worse than the Holocaust?
That's correct.
That's pretty cooked even for a Jewish.
Because he was more uniquely evil, he said.
Is it?
No, this guy, dude, this guy had like, it was, honest to God, it was like, when I was listening to this, I felt like I was like, you guys gotta fucking get this guy off the fucking
That's
TV,
the thing.
man.
Everybody thinks it's some grand conspiracy, but we have some of the worst representatives.
That guy sucked.
Like the actual public-facing representatives are some of the absolute worst candidates to put forth any sort of normal message. We have Rabbi Shmuley hawking dildos because he fucking went on Oprah 20 years ago.
Is that what he was? He was an
That's
Oprah
how
guy?
That's why he's like this known thing is I guess Oprah used to bring him
Some
on.
other actress recently had a new thing where her son's 20 and she's letting him fucking direct her movie, and she has to bang all these guys in the movie. So
Oh yeah, Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah. So there's some wacky Hollywood stuff going on, period.
No, I mean they are, but he's not a Hollywood guy. He's just like some New York rabbi guy, and he's just mental.
Rabbi is having a dildo fucking business is nuts.
Crazy, like with his daughter.
It's
It's
next
with his
level.
daughter, and there's like video.
Isn't there a central board that could take the rabbi title away?
I don't think so. I don't think you can.
Once you're a rabbi, you're for life.
I don't think it's like being a Catholic priest
You just
where
call
they
yourself
have
one.
like the head, like the Vatican is like the head office. I don't think Judaism has that where there's like a rabbi head office.
You just say you're a
where they go-
rabbi and that's that.
Well, I think once you pass a certain tests, it's for life. Yeah.
Well, Michael Neistetter found a way to quiet the room when he announced someone in this room is wearing a vibrator, and you have to guess who. So, just one big fat fucking Jewish guy in the corner.
Oh my God! You know what they had at Del Boca
That's
Vista?
what's going on at Yentacon,
Dude,
by
Del
the way.
Boca Vista.
Not very religious.
Sorry to cut you off, but
Jews getting wild.
Del Boca Vista, and I was hoping when I was using the gym that someone was going to use it, but Del Boca Vista in their gym, and they have a sick gym, which makes no sense because it's all like 80-year-olds.
Mandelbaums.
Dude, it is all Mandelbaum. It makes no sense. Dude, they have like rogue, like brand new, like rogue racks with like bumper plates and everything. Like it's like a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
But it's all just like old ladies and old dudes who are like in their 70s. And stuff. It makes no sense. But they
Everyone peeled all the gold off the like littering.
dude, but they have fucking one of those things where you're just like you just stand on this platform and it just goes
What does it do?
it just vibrates you, and I think the whole point is you just hang on and it's like a workout, but you don't have to move at all, right? Because like it's the ultimate in low impact. You just stand on this plate, right? And I think there's handles or something, and then it just starts vibrating, and you just hold on, and that's a workout. I
Does
guess.
it work, you think?
Hey, for sure, dude. It's like probably $5,000. I was hoping I would see some old lady use it though.
Yeah, some fat pig. Some land whale.
Like, yeah, that was a good workout.
Time for the cake. Time to hit the lunch buffet.
Yeah, there is an ice cream buffet though.
Well, the other thing about DC, which was interesting, was at my show, I've never seen a higher quality of like normal looking like financy kind of white guys.
Yeah.
With like pretty hot black chicks.
Nice.
Yeah. The white boys in DC were doing okay with the hot black chick demographic.
All right.
Probably saw 7 of that.
Huh.
It's usually like someone, black girl and Asian guy, you don't see that much. Black girl and white guy, you don't see that much.
Yeah.
The white guys were doing okay in the hot black girl demographic over there.
I mean, 40% of the population.
I think that's just what it is. It's kind of what you're around, right?
Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing that up is because I've seen a lot of recently where you kind of see on the internet people sort of saying, there's a lot of what's that black guy that's like a reverend that's sort of like
Umar Johnson?
Umar Johnson.
Yeah.
A lot of those kind of guys.
Dr.
It's
Umar.
getting real popular that black people shouldn't date white people. Like it's very so, but they always have like a very interesting.
I mean, to a degree, like as crazy as it sounds, but I know what they're saying because eventually you're making white people. Because it goes that way. Like if you mix a black and a white person, then they're essentially like the
a black and a white person makes a black
tanner person. But then if they get with another tan person, eventually down the line, you're just gonna end. Unless you go back to black, then you just kind of end up white. And they have skin supremacy too, right? And black people, like they even within black people, they're like they look down on the darker skinned people too. So for whatever reason, they're trying to get lighter. And then if you just keep going, you're just eventually just gonna be a bunch of white people.
Okay, well that's not the argument they're making.
I know. I understand.
Even still, though, that you're just like, if you're okay, would you ever say that? Be like, white people shouldn't mix because
I say that all the time.
Our bloodline.
Yes, yes, I say that all the time. Clip it. No.
Well, listen to this,
Yeah,
guys.
they're literally like doing whites will not replace us.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's just fun because the reason it's funny because it's so like accepted that they're talking about like why race mixing is really bad.
Yeah.
But they have the attitude of someone that was talking about like a productivity podcast where the
Right.
guy would be like, in the morning what I do is if you want to block off that time, you need to not have phone calls. And the other guy goes,
But it's more like, so I set up all my filters on the dating app by skin tone. I just make sure to.
So this is what the guy says.
Can you be a pro-black person and be with a non-black person?
No.
You can't?
No.
No?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
No. So, and I'm
So
glad
what, you can't embrace your blackness while you're with someone from a different...
I'm glad you said that.
Race.
It's very important you said that. So what
He's going to get really into it here. Yo.
So this is very important what you're saying. You imagine being pro-black as being a vegan.
Okay.
So that's an analogy, right? That means a vegan, there's rules, and the rules are you cannot kill or eat animals, right? That's
correct.
So imagine you're a person, right? You save 1,000 cows, 1,000. You save 1,000 sharks, but when you come home, you eat a chicken. You're not a vegan, but you're very nice to animals. You might be nicer to animals when you add it up versus the actual vegan, but you lose.
What's 1,000?
What?
Well, I didn't know that word started with an F.
So to start,
Yeah.
you go, okay, when you were a vegan, if you're saying, hey, I'm really against killing animals and I save these ones from getting killed,
Yeah.
and then I go home and kill one. But if you go, if you're a black person that's pro-black and you go home and date a white girl, that doesn't mean you're killing a black person.
Well, you're killing the black race, is what they're saying, which is kind of what I was saying.
You think that's the point?
Yeah, he goes, hey, you're diluting the bloodline. Again, this is, racial supremacy stuff.
Vegans is the bad example too because they're up to the wackiest stuff of all time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even make sense
No, it
as
doesn't
an
make
argument.
sense. No. Just say you don't want...
Because you could okay, so now use that for anything else. You're like, well, can you be mentally retarded if you don't date one? It's like, his argument is like, well, we have to date
Well, his
black girls.
argument
It's
would
like,
be, we're not allowed to, but if we could.
okay, so what about, can you be pro people in a wheelchair if you don't date one?
Yeah, good point. I mean, yeah, it makes no sense the way he's trying to just kind of...
Can you be pro men and not be gay? Like if you go, yeah, I'm pro men, like I care about men's issues, and it's like, but when you go home,
But do you suck a man off?
yeah, but when you go home, you suck a man off. That's basically a vegan who's killing sharks when he gets home.
I mean, nobody's saying that his analogies are great,
Well,
but...
it's just like, I just love how it's like sold as like this intellectual thing. And obviously, there's the first part of it where it's like, obviously, if a white dude said any shit like this, you'd be fucking kicked off the
Insane.
world. But that's the obvious part. But more importantly, it just doesn't make any sense.
See, that's why Indian people are so much smarter, because they think all this stuff, but they don't go on podcasts saying
You're
it.
so right. Because it's like, you're allowed to fucking just date someone that your own skin color.
Or tell your kids, be like, kind of
If
at
you
the
really
kitchen
want to be that
table.
type of family, yes.
Yeah, which is, I think, a lot of them. They'll be like, we're
Well, I'm sure, most Indian guys are saying, like, I don't love that you're dating this.
I
yes.
don't love, or whatever, but they don't go on podcasts and saying it.
That's what
it probably
Asian girls always say. That's the move, is that you got to bring home like a hardcore gangster first.
Yeah.
And then when your parents don't like him, then they're warmed up to the white guy that you brought home. That's like a lot of like New York Asian girls that say that. Shit.
Just prime the pump.
Yeah, like if you date enough like drug dealers, then eventually they'll be like, okay,
Just anything better
fine,
than
yes,
those ones.
you can date a finance white guy. But it's funny because I remember I've actually I probably told you this story though, but my ex, when she lived in her mom lived in Honduras, and we went there, and then this guy, like local Honduras guys, just came up and he kicked me in the shin.
Yeah, I
Remember that?
Yeah.
And he kicked me in the shin, and then he was like, they were trying to start like a fight with me, and I'm just like a guy with her and her sister.
Yeah, you're just
on vacation basically, and everyone kept like fucking making me like, not actually, but like everyone was and then eventually, like, we were talking to this one guy that knew them, and he was just like, yeah, people really hate it when white guys steal their girls.
Yeah.
And I was just like, first of all, they brought me here, so technically I'm the one being stolen.
Yeah.
First of all, like, you think I want to be on this trip right now?
Yeah, and you think
with a bunch of fucking clucking hens and
Yeah, no shit. Also, buddy, you weren't an option. It's not me or you here. Like when you
100%.
when you say taking your women, you're like, she lives in Canada.
yeah, she lives in Toronto, pal.
Yeah,
fucking tattoos, not.
yeah. She wasn't available to you.
Oh, it was nuts. But like, they really had a problem with it. That was like their biggest thing. They're like, if you want to come here with another white girl, that's fine. But if you want to come here and fucking feast on our fucking women, that's a big problem.
Haven't you done enough? Haven't your people done enough? This
White
was
guys did a lot.
paradise before white people showed up, and you're like, was it though?
Not a lot of white guys in Honduras.
No.
But another thing about Honduras is they allegedly have the smallest runway in the world, or one of the smallest runways in the world, and they mention it.
Yeah, I go, yeah.
Buddy,
shut up about it.
You're on the plane, and they mentioned that it was one of the smallest runways in the world. You're like, what the fuck are you telling me this
question. Do we have the best pilot in the world?
I remember being
Is our pilot regular?
I remember my mind being blown that they mentioned how small the runway was when we were about to
Like
land.
when I was in Telluride, if you ever go to Telluride in Colorado, they have, because it's like a super rich like ski town. Everybody's like, Ralph Lauren lives here or whatever. Like all these super famous like people, and Oprah has a place, and they have a private runway which is super short, and you could see it. It's just like off in the distance, and it even has like, I've never seen it before, where the runway at the end of it, because you fly off the edge of a mountain, and it kind of like banks. Or
if it
whatever,
doesn't work, you're done.
goes up, and they straight up were like, yeah, we actually have like some of the most amount of crashes and plane crashes or whatever, but it's all private planes. You go, yeah, no love lost here.
Yeah, privates go
Hey,
down, and no one even
you want
bats
to
an
fly,
eye.
yeah, you want to fly private. Some rich person crashes because they don't want to drive an hour to get there. You go, that's their decision.
Does feel like it's on them a little bit. Fellas, this is what some of you might know. You don't know my flipping skills.
Ooh.
Bakscape. This is, for some of you who don't know, the fastest growing male grooming company on the planet. And it just got better because we're talking about the Bakscape 2.0 friction fit handle, making it the best back shaver on the market and even better. And did you know that a lot of times, because of evolution, men aren't supposed to have back hair anymore, but women won't stop sleeping with Italians.
Oh.
And because of that, we are in a situation where some people need it. Shoulders too. There's nothing I hate more than the fluff on the shoulders. Vivek Ramaswamy just posted a photo of him on the beach with someone. He was looking like he could use a back.
I mean, he was looking like what you think he was
Exactly.
looking like.
But you want to get the fuzz off the shoulders and the back, man.
Yeah,
it's a
tough.
bad
I mean,
look.
it's a tough spot.
The hair that starts looking like fur, you know what I mean?
yeah.
This fucking takes care of the whole deal, man. I'm telling you. Engineered for back shaving, the new 2.0 friction fit handle gives you the ease of use to get the Bakscape razor in and out of the handle effortlessly. Pop it in to experience the entire independent back shave with the ergonomic handle. Ergonomic keyboard never leaves you bored. Ergonomic handle that gets every hard-to-reach spot on your back in 5 minutes or less. You can pop it out and touch the rest of your body. The decision is completely yours. It's got a new titanium shave head for smoother, more comfortable shave, respects your skin, delivers a clean finish. Your lady's going to absolutely love. Everyone's lady out there, I'm listening. Everyone listening right now, it's your lady.
Yep.
You get that present for her birthday, and it's for
a little
her
for
to do
both.
it here.
Yeah.
It's a bowling ball, but better. Enhanced durability, built to last. Men, it's time to take the power of your grooming back. Go to Bakscape.com. Use the promo code BOYSCAST for 10% off your first order on any of the kits on their website. Not completely sold yet? Bakscape is so confident that the new friction fit handle and titanium shave heads will slide smoother than your best pickup line or money back. Fellas, if you've been following what's going on a lot of places in the world right now, if you don't have a VPN, I don't even know where to start with you.
What are you doing?
So we're telling you about Proton VPN. A buddy of ours was just in Texas, and they got rid of a little site that some people might want to see. Did you know that the search for VPNs in Texas went up 400% the day it happened? Just a coincidence.
Yeah.
So you're going to want a VPN for a million different reasons, and Proton products are the only alternative to big tech. Extremely easy to use thanks to its interface. Use it to get access to geo-block content on streaming platforms or better prices in video games. Provide safety through anonymity. VPNs are ideal for remote work setups because I don't know if you know, there's a lot of remote workplaces. They'll pay you different based on where you are. And they'll say that you're remote, but you still have to be in the city.
Yeah.
Well, a VPN will solve that problem for you. Go to protonvpn.com/Ryan Long and you get 1 month free when you sign up for 1 year, 45% savings, 3 months free when you sign up for 2 years, 56% savings, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So I don't need to tell you that there's 5,000 reasons why I use Proton VPN. Danny's got a VPN, someplace.
For different reasons.
Well, you're traveling around certain places. They don't even allow that type of intercourse.
Sure. Crypto. It's a good thing for crypto.
It is a good thing for. Oh yeah, I forgot that you were all using all the VPNs for all your
need
crypto
them sometimes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to not have one right now, and it's not crazy expensive. So, Proton VPN/Ryan Long, 1 month free. Well, it's on the topic of PETA. They had a couple bangers recently. PETA says don't say cheese before taking a picture. And they said you should change the Easter egg hunt to potato hunt.
You know what I'm starting to think with PETA? Because I posted this video and it was like this Christmas thing and it was like don't use wool or whatever. I don't know if you saw it. They had some like outdoor. It was in the winter and they had some whole exhibit and there was these guys in like a snow globe and they're like don't like if you take wool from sheep and there's these guys and they're literally just like punching a sheep in the head. Like they're holding like a fake bloody sheep and they're just punching it in the head and you're like you need to shear sheep. Like it actually like is bad for them if you don't.
Yeah.
Like to say that to leave them is the more humane thing. And I see shit like that. I'm like, they're literally appealing to 6-year-olds, right? Like they're like, we need to get them so early where they actually don't understand. And then any normal person is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's not how you shear a sheep.
That's not how you shear a sheep. It's good to shear a sheep.
Keep up with its head.
Yeah. But like, dude, you can see the video. They're just punching a sheep in the head, this bloody sheep. And you're like, that's not what happens to sheep. They appreciate being sheared. Otherwise, they're actually like can't see and can't move and stuff. It's like it's one of those things where like this is a win-win for everybody. And they're like, no, you just leave them. It's crazy. But then I guess if you're 6, you'd be like, yeah, I don't want to.
They are getting 6-year-olds.
Like,
That's correct.
Don't say cheese. I mean, who says cheese?
They're getting a little smarter with their propaganda because one of the things they did say was the New Cork said the potato roll would not exploit any sentient beings and also encourage empathy and kindness while supporting the potato farmers. They're getting it a few. They're like, right? I'm not saying that a little something for me. We don't hurt the chickens. A little something for you. Help the farmers.
Yeah, you can get some potatoes. Everybody's so sympathetic to potato farmers.
This is what I've always said when they talk about how colonialism was bad. I was just like, if we could go back in time and reverse colonialism, we don't have these spices. I'd be first in fucking line. My potato eating mouth was not meant for this stuff. And they go, this is a delicacy. That's like For me, all the spices they brought over in colonialism were the tape bracelets of.
Yeah, like the snap bracelet.
No, I'm saying the $5,000 Balenciaga bracelet
the
where
tape,
they go, this is a delicacy, and you're just like, yeah, burning my mouth. Glad that I bought this.
This salt is so spicy.
It's got bite to it.
Yeah.
I will say, that's one thing though, because every time that I cross a border, probably more than anyone I've ever been with, I get profiled, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's tattoos. Maybe it's
Profiled where?
I have to go to the special room and they go through my bags and everything.
Oh, really?
Probably happened to me 4 out of the last 7 times.
Going into Canada or going to America?
Both.
Really?
That's every time I'm with someone, and they, you know how they do it is they write the thing on your piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
So they look you in the eyes and be like, "All right, have a good trip," knowing that they just wrote like this guy strip search him.
Yeah.
So now I know, and I've started to argue with him a little bit. I just like, why did you write that? And the guy is not used to you knowing this thing, so he's just like, oh, it was just a random thing. It's like random me every single time, huh?
Well, he's probably like, what do you want me to do? You want to profile a black guy? Come on, man. Like,
well, what I'm saying is, if I wasn't white,
Yeah.
I can understand if it happened to me the amount of times and I was not white, I would be on CNN fucking every single day being like, someone's got to pay for this.
yeah, and they are. They even are still. They're like, I get profiled.
Yeah, but they're not doing the guy that did me. That's what I'm saying. I'm not getting my justice for fucking 60% of the time getting profiled because they look like I have drugs, I guess, is what I look like.
Yeah, I got bad news for you, too. You will not be getting justice for this. You will continue to get it. Did it work? Like,
Did what work?
Like the complaining for the
The
profile?
guy doesn't have a marker. I just wanted him to know that I knew.
Oh, okay. Oh, it wasn't like while he was writing, like...
Well, he already wrote it at that point.
Oh, and you go...
Well, he grabs your thing. He goes, "Okay, welcome. Have a good trip." And I go, "What was that?"
It's the Seinfeld with the lane of the doctor.
It's 100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
what are you writing?
Yeah, what are you doing there?
And what do you say?
They go, "Oh, it's just random." He said they always say it's random, and I
Yeah.
go, "Well, there's 150 people you didn't randomly do it to."
Yeah. You should bust out your stats being like, there's no way this is random.
Same with getting pulled over. I'm telling you, I got fucking profiled. I got a look of a criminal or something.
Yeah, interesting.
But I'm just saying, if I had any discourse or any recourse, like if I was anything other than a straight white guy, I would fucking be making an issue of this.
You got to have some fun with it, I guess. Just like put a bunch of like bag of creatine or something.
Put a dildo in there that like ink comes out of.
Yeah. You go, I wouldn't don't open that. And they go, what? Why? He goes, I'm telling you, you do not want to open that.
I should have stuff like that. You're right.
You can, yeah.
Because they go through my fucking bag every time like weasels. And it's always me and another guy that kind of... It's usually me and then some guy that looks like a real steelworking crackhead. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they had you remember
like a guy that looks like he kind of has like urban clothes on from 97.
Remember 2 weeks ago or like three weeks ago in New York City, and they were like, they put the National Guard right by here, actually, 34th Street. The National Guard was in the subways, and they're bringing, because you know how they have that thing on the New York subways, they've been saying it for a while, but they've never done it where they go random bag checks. Like when you're on the subway, they'll do a recording where they're like, you're subject to random bag checks.
Okay.
And then a few weeks ago, I guess, because crime's up on the subway, they're like, we're bringing it back. And the National Guard was down there.
I do remember that.
Remember that? And then like on the news, they were showing people getting their bags checked. And I'm like, I can assure you, this is not what any of the people causing problems on the subway look like, okay? Like it's honestly, they're like, we have to profile some people. You're like,
it's just like a lady going to work.
it's like some old lady with a walker. And you're like, yo, that's not who's causing problems. But the problem is like, well, if we start saying, well, this is
listen, if you do it random, I don't have a problem if they want to do it randomly where they go every 10th person. That's not what they're doing.
I do. I think they should just profile people.
And you're probably right. It's probably gotten worse for me because they're like, we got to be careful about like, guys with turbans and beards. We're not going to go extra hard on them.
Go
so
profile
it's like,
Dr. Umar or whatever. And
that's what I'm saying. So they're picking up the slack by doing it to me more.
But they're also not getting anything done, right? That's the double-edged sword. They're also not doing anything.
Yeah, I guess
it's performative entirely.
Maybe there's guys like me that have like a baggie of Coke or something like that. Maybe that's what they're fucking hoping for.
I guess that's. I mean, if that's what they're looking for, is a baggie of Coke.
Exactly.
They go,
what a bust.
Border secured, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We just made the country better, and you're like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. They have to pretend like they're doing something. They got quotas. Mm-hmm. Gosh.
You know what else sort of like annoys me? Is they always say, because I've heard a lot of this. I think Bill Maher was sort of saying this. He's kind of always going on about millennials, how they're complaining too much, and Gen Z's complaining too much, and everyone's, you don't know how good you got it sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And He basically was making the point again that has been made, like, you live better than the kings of, you know.
Yeah.
And you go, well, that is 100% not true, because you go, you live better than them. It's like, okay, but the king could have someone killed if they looked at him the wrong way. So they don't have that.
Yeah.
They could have sex with whoever they wanted to. The girls all loved them. They were the highest status in their thing. You go, so
They just mean your
if you
phone
take that
and
king,
electricity.
if you take that king now and put him on exile in an island with all his gold, do you think he likes it as much? It's like, no. Not all, obviously the context surrounding what you have the things matters to some degree.
Sure.
Especially when you're talking about things that are historically status symbols that no longer have that status attached to them. It's like, yes, part of being a king is sick because you're the man.
Yeah, I mean, there's that too. I mean, he obviously just was talking about basics shit.
But it's just such a bad point to say that you had better this than that guy. Like, there are certain things, like, yes, it is better that people who are poor can still have like air conditioning. You know what I mean? So you're like, okay, so you don't have to be like boiling hot when you're sleeping. Yes, that's true. But if you're just like, well, you have these, you got to have better food than them at the time. It's like, well, compared to what? It's all relative.
Yeah.
Like, the best guy here is still better than being the worst guy in probably some other hypothetical civilization. It's like, that's not how people work.
No,
you need
they
to
compare. I mean, yeah,
you need
you
to feel
obviously-
like useful is like, as a guy especially, feeling like useful and feeling like you have some purpose and feeling like, you know, you're doing sort of well in relation to your peers. Those are the things that make you.
That's the big one. It's just like, you don't compare. Nobody compares themselves to 200 years ago.
Why would you? It makes no sense.
Yeah, you compare just everything that's going on. I mean, you can't even get Americans to compare themselves to people alive now just in other countries.
Why would you? It doesn't.
Yeah.
That's not how your self-worth works.
Yeah, not even self-worth. I'm talking just basic quality of living stuff. You go, hey, you know, all these people talking about the 1%. And you're like, well, you are in the 1% of people in the world right now. And they go, I don't care.
Okay, but you're like, okay, you know what? Oh, you people here can buy like a fancy car. Back then, the guy had horse and carriage, and you're like, and the guy with the horse and carriage was getting all the pussy.
a lot of horse sniz.
You know what I mean? It's like going to the fucking guys who are revving their engines in the parking lot of Wendy's, and then being like, you guys don't understand. Like, you're doing better than the king beforehand. It was like, no, they're doing equally as good as the guy who was in the parking lot showing off his little fucking crappy
his
thing
horse.
that
Yeah,
like
just
working class people could buy.
Yeah. Patting his donkey.
Yes, they're doing the same as the guy who was showing off his horse at the local saloon.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I just hate that argument because it's just like such a like a cop out, and it's so not. You're refusing to like deal with how people actually work.
Yeah, and it's a pretty like just simplistic to be like, hey, well, it's pretty good now compared to 100 years ago, and you go,
Well, you get to like just write people off. You know what I
well,
mean?
you just be like, I don't live 100 years.
Well, it's like like someone who grew up really poor and then being to their kids like, okay, all their friends that they go to school with have this, and you're like, you have none of that stuff, and you're just like, well, you have more than when I grew up with. It's like, okay, but that's not what school I go to. It's like, this is what's normal now.
I'm currently getting beat up now for not having things. That's not heartening at all for you to tell me that. I appreciate your story, but
Anyways, I feel like that line of thinking just always fucking rubs me the wrong way.
yeah.
And obviously there's like, I would say 10% of it's relevant, and then 90% of it, you're like, yeah, that's not how people work, especially dudes. Also girls, actually.
I mean, I probably would prefer to have my life over like some random king 500 years ago, but
and you go, what's the most
they
important
always
part?
get executed publicly.
If a value system, if you go, hey, here's my value system, the most important thing to me in the world is my fucking having a car, and I live in the middle of nowhere, and I just like taking it for donuts, that's the only thing I like, then you go, okay. But for most people, probably the most important thing is your status in society, fucking what girls like you,
Yeah.
and your friend group.
And yeah, having basic needs met, I suppose.
I covered that with girls.
I meant more like the shelter and food.
Shelter and food.
Yeah. But yeah. I agree. It's kind of. I mean, Bill Maher. That's just his go-to. He goes. He's kids these days.
His go-to is kids these
Yeah,
days.
he's literally kids these
I
days.
feel like I've heard kids these days as an explanation for too many things. And you're not talking about kids. You're talking about people that are fucking 35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, who like cannot afford a home anywhere.
Yeah, he's talking about kids these days. He's talking about fucking 35-year-old parents.
Yeah. I mean, that's Bill Maher for you.
Let's do one funny article here. The creepy sign your boyfriend secretly thinks of you as his mommy. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it is the most accidentally for the boys you'll ever hear in the history of your life. So they go, we need to leave it to mothers to act like mothers. If you spend more time scrubbing bubbles and washing dishes and less time with them kissing your neck, you need to see why you could be in the mommy zone. So they're basically starting out with the premise that there's these guys that just need to be taken care of. They can't do anything for themselves. And you've worked your way into being their mommy. And this is bad for women, and they need to stop. And these are the kind of things that they've come up with that women might do to stop being in the mommy zone. First one, how to get out of the mommy zone. Stop being clingy. Solution, do yourself and your partner a favor. Get a life outside the relationship. Do things for yourself without them. When you're having a night out, they will miss you and appreciate you more when you're with them. I'm listening.
Yeah, here we go. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Let's get you out of the mommy zone.
Number 2, stop pestering them.
Oh yeah,
I'm telling you, the mommy zone's great.
The problem is this could be entire thing could be summed up into one just quick little thing: deny your biology. Just at every corner, every turn, just deny all your maternal,
and then they'll stop acting like you're their mom.
Instincts.
But I think what happens is, if we're already at number 2, and it's stop being clingy, stop being pestering. Number 3 is stop emotional drama. So as a dude, you need to get this article in the girl's hands, and then you need to come out, be like, my mommy. You need to go hard on acting like you think she's her mom.
You got to call her mommy when you're banging, just to really set the tone.
Really set the tone that you've got an issue where you think that she's your mommy, and then she's be like, hey, I don't like all this business where you calling me mommy, and being like, you're right, I think we should do something about this. I've looked up some articles.
I did some extensive research. This is peer reviewed and just
peer reviewed. Some of the ways that might help you to stop calling you mommy.
Get a life.
Clingy, no more pestering. Don't demand things. Ask nicely. This is one of the things
just act like a dude, essentially. Act like you're my guy roommate. Literally, pretend like you're just my roommate from college.
Guy roommate's underrated.
Yeah. I don't call my guy roommate mommy.
Pick up your toys. Wear something that matches. Or this is the things. Mommy will say things like, pick up your toys. Wear something that matches. Take your scraps to the compost. Take out the trash. Call me when you get there. All these things that these women are doing that mommies that...
overbearing,
they're
mothering type.
Because the hypothesis is like this guy can't take care of himself.
Yeah,
and there's definitely dudes like that, and they're saying stop doing it. And
I think you just get them a kid though. You just knock them up, and then they have that focus just moves.
It does. That's 100% the focus.
That is for sure. You get them a kid, and they just have that in them. And then
I think you put a kid in a girl, and that kid pops out. I think it's much more likely that she's going to stop worrying about what you're wearing.
For sure. That's the move.
She goes, they are an adult now. They have a life of their own. And if they want you to be part of it, don't act like their mother. So stop being naggy. So I think you have to go home and like suck on her tits.
Yeah. I can imagine this.
Mommy. And then sort of leave the article printed out on her bed.
Yeah, you get it framed. You get it like nicely framed. I mean, yeah, this is, I can imagine this is one of the articles that probably did not, what is this, Your Tango? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is probably a bomb for them. They wrote this, they go, the editorial room of Your Tango goes, yeah, so the anti-mothering article did not do well at all.
That's probably true.
Yeah, this is, for whatever reason, people hate this. Our readers do not like the don't mother.
Yeah, that one might have. Stop nagging.
Stop nagging. Something Your Tango to be like,
no more emotional drama. You're 30 minutes late and now dinner is cold. I can't believe you would do this to me. I've been cooking this homemade marinara sauce just for you. Solution: learn to keep the drama to yourself. I think you're right about
microwave. That. Microwave could kind of solve a lot of these problems.
I think you might be making some points that this is going to resonate with the audience.
Their audience is like, what the fuck? Did a guy write this or some shit?
There's one more good one on that. It's another for the boys. Starlighting is the horrifying new dating term, and it's probably just happening to you. So starlighting is like gaslighting, but it's when you date like hippy dippy chicks.
Yeah.
And it's a form of gaslighting based on human psychology and manipulation. Starlighting, however, implies that because someone meditates, does yoga, and has a near-death experience, or has any of the hallmarks of a spiritual person, then that person is right and you are wrong. And I've definitely been starlit.
Really? I've never had this experience. I can see it, though.
You never had a girl say the universe is saying this and that? I'm a free spirit. I can't be on time for things.
No, I haven't, thankfully.
Maybe I've dated freer spirits than you.
Yeah, I lock those spirits up.
Free spirit
The
things?
moment I get in a relationship, I'm breaking the spirit down. I'm locking it up. I'm having none of this nonsense.
Although free gets you a little.
Was it? That's true.
Did you say free?
Free?
I've definitely fucking dealt with the free spirit type where free spirit type, and it is true. It's like they try to use just being like, oh, I'm just so whimsical.
I'm so in tune with the universe.
I'm so in tune with the universe that I can't be in tune with clocks.
You go, what is time?
This is the
And you go, well, we
flakiest
had
type of
a
person.
reservation that they gave away, so time is something.
I'll tell you what about these, yoga people that are like, not every single one, but a lot of these, Starlight yoga type people, they fucking miss yoga a lot.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I was going to go Wednesday morning. It's like, oh, okay, I'd end up not having to do that. I'm such a free spirit. Oh, okay, I'll do Thursday. Oh, okay. They make plans
universe
to go to
doesn't want them-
yoga and stop it 3 times. They miss 4 yoga classes.
I mean,
Just
the
pay
universe
for them.
doesn't want them to do yoga.
That's what they're saying. You know
That's
what
the
I mean?
thing. It's a really easy way to be just not accountable to anything because you just
Right.
It's the same as religion stuff where something bad happens, you go, God wanted that to happen.
Jesus took the wheel.
And you go, okay. I mean,
And-
it is
and
a
drove
good,
us drunk home.
It is a decent mental model to not have to be accountable for anything.
Free spirit.
Or deal with. I mean, the one thing that religion I do think figured out for people who can actually buy into it is like when something super bad happens to you in your life, and then you're just like, well, that's just how it's supposed to be.
God wanted that.
God wanted that.
He's giving me his hardest tasks.
Kind of. And it is probably, for someone who doesn't have that, they would probably deal with that way worse. Like, it probably is, like, if you can really buy that, like,
If you can buy
100%, and you go, this is how, like, your child dies or something, your part, whatever, and you're just like, it's just, it sucks, but this is part of a bigger thing. It probably is the best way to deal with that.
Probably.
Yeah. Like, they're probably more happier a year later than the person who just is like, fuck, this sucks, and there's no reason for this.
I don't know enough religious people to really
No, I don't.
know, but
No, I don't. Neither do I. But it seems, from what I've seen on television, seems like how they act.
Boeing. We've talked a little bit about planes.
I'm an Airbus man.
These planes are fucking... It is out of control, the amount. So this dude that was like, obviously this was a week ago, but there's new stuff coming out every day.
The whistleblower.
The whistleblower on all the safety stuff.
Yeah.
And murdered. I listened to all the interviews of the woman who was like friends with him and like family friends and stuff like that, and they were like, this guy was
not
the slightest bit suicidal. He quote unquote said to her, if I die, it wasn't suicide. Like he said the thing that what's his name said too. McAfee, he knew what I was talking about. Yeah. Same thing as McAfee. Like a lot of people are saying that now, and so I don't know how it shakes down exactly. Like what kind of house of cards business goes on here?
I mean, there's essentially 2 airplane manufacturers. If you fly on an airplane pretty much anywhere, you're flying on one of 2 airplanes.
So is that one of the big problems? Is it's just like they have just such a monopoly on this stuff?
I mean, yeah, there's you can't really start a commercial aviation business.
Yeah, because some people will say, oh, there's a lot of the diversity bullshit and all this, and a lot of other people are sort of saying like, that's the tip of the iceberg of what the problems are in this industry.
I don't know. I would guess Boeing has 80,000 employees or some shit. There's 2 companies. They have tons of government contracts. They're definitely in bed with the highest levels of the government.
Bed.
Yeah, tons of defense deals, all
big
that
lobbies.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I don't know what this guy was going to say. You would hope
he was saying that they're like skimping on safety requirements.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where you see all these anecdotal things. Like last week, I was on a flight, and as we were, maybe an hour before landing,
was your flight your side a lot lower than the other side?
No, but I was near the wheel. In like the back of the plane, I was on the window seat, and then an hour before we were landing, I pulled out the card to see what airplane we were on, and it was like a Boeing, and I go, and it landed on my side pretty fucking hard, like
a lot of good landing.
It was just like it was such a thud. It almost felt like we hit a pothole, which runways don't have potholes, and it felt like it, and I was like, oh, here we go. But I mean, statistically, flying is still
I've been watching this thing though.
so
You want?
safe. I know we've seen so many little things of and flights and so.
Well, the safety requirement thing's one thing, but if this guy's getting taken out, that's whole next level.
That's crazy. If he didn't. I mean, if this guy wasn't smart enough to have some sort of like dead man switch thing, where you kill him and then all the gossip comes out.
That's true. Why didn't the gossip come out?
That's the thing. If you're a whistleblower, you should definitely have some person go, if I die, you release all this stuff.
But then the person might be like, yeah, nice try, bud.
Well, or whatever.
Trying to get me in the grave as well?
Just like a unlisted YouTube video that just
know.
gets set to public or something.
100%.
I don't know. I mean, look, if you're a whistleblower and you have all this damning information, hopefully it's...
Well, he already told a lot of the damning information. That was the interesting part, because he already did the whole whistleblowing, and he did his... whatever you call it in court.
Yeah, it's like a testimony. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it obviously seems incredibly suspicious, but it is a pretty time-tested thing where if someone wants to rat out like a big corporation, they just kill them. And then not only is that effective in ending that problem, but it also sends a message to future people that, hey...
it's just wild that you can still like get away with these, if they, I mean, I'll tell you what, if they find if they were able to like ever prosecute this, it would make an incredible movie.
Yeah, I don't, but again, that's the thing with suicide. You go, I don't know. If you have certain people who are allowed to kill people, and there are very likely people in the government who probably operate in a shadowy thing. The beekeepers, right? Where they're legally allowed to kill people, then they just go kill people.
Yeah, then you go, the prosecutor brings it, and then it hits a brick wall.
Well, the prosecutors, I mean, there was what was it with the either it was Epstein or there was some big trial.
Which Epstein?
Fred Epstein. Mm-hmm. But there was the one where the judge, someone showed up. I think it was maybe Ghislaine Maxwell or the Epstein thing, and then the judge who was involved with it, someone showed up to her house and tried to kill her and killed her son and all this stuff. And judge involved, and someone was like, "Oh, it was related to some other thing." But
when it's politics, you can believe that there's some renegade shit happening.
But Boeing is in that realm.
You think that there's some renegade guy that's just riding and dying for Boeing the way that he would be. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You could see someone riding or dying for a politician, but I don't see someone riding or dying and vigilante killing someone for Boeing.
No, hell no. No, I'm more thinking someone who the CEO of Boeing or someone at Boeing just calls someone at the CIA and goes, "We got a problem."
Yeah, and your name's on this fucking too, Fred.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
You think your hands aren't dirty? You think I'm going down alone?
But again,
we have a problem together.
Until there's because all this Boeing stuff, and I mean the one where the window ripped out is obviously insane. But as far as I understand, there's still no casualties involved here. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's hard to be super alarmed. I don't question flying at all, and I can't imagine. I trust the pilot. If pilots are okay flying these things, then I think I'm okay until several bad things happen.
I'm flying every week. So.
But I'm saying until several bad things happen in a short period of time, where you go, okay, clearly something's going on here.
Basically, have to quit my job if I was just not
you
going to fly anymore.
Well, you just go John Madden style and just get the bus. You just got to get a bus.
Yeah. So I watched the Elon Musk and the Don Lemon interview.
Yeah.
And interesting that we sort of mentioned it a little bit last week, but basically he's gone on the entire press tour now, kind of being how much of a bitch is Elon Musk and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought
it calls him he's such a snowflake. He's so sensitive. I can't believe he's so sensitive. It's like, Don, you were crying when Jussie Smollett thing happened, even though you knew it was fake. I'm pretty sure that came out where he was told that it was fake.
Don Lemon does like to fucking tear up. That's his favorite thing.
Of course he does.
He's a soft man.
He was crazy too. The part that I took the most issue with the Don Lemon thing was when he was saying how tough his life as a black man is. He goes, I've surely been, I've surely missed opportunities.
Rich guy in New York.
Well, you're dude, first off, you're a multimillionaire. You're in your industry. You're probably at the top, even after getting fired by CNN. You're still at the top of this thing. You had the nerve to ask him for, what was it, $8 million, a Cybertruck and shares in X. like, and I think some sort of like editorial control or something.
This guy thinks really highly of himself.
Yeah, but he was essentially going on and saying like, like I've, you can't question my experience or whatever, because I know I've been denied certain things because of my skin color. And you're like, first off, you can't say for sure that it's because your skin color, and everybody has. What? Because you didn't get every single thing you've been put forward for. Like, you haven't received 100% yeses, so all of a sudden it's discrimination. Like, he's literally saying, anytime I've
that was the reason.
Like, they go, hey, we're thinking of giving you your own show at CNN, and they go, hey, we went with someone else. He goes, racism.
Everything with him.
Everything's racism. You're like, dude, you were the fucking lead on CNN forever.
Do you think all in all he made a shark move by going extra hard on Elon Musk, pissing him off, losing the show, and then doing his big tour and getting back in the news? Or do you think it's like, you lost a lot of money, you get back in the news for a month, and it's not going to lead to anything, and all you did was try to be a weasel?
Yeah, I think so. I think he probably misplayed it. I wonder if this was the plan all along, and that he was asking for all this crazy shit, not thinking he would get it.
That's what I'm saying.
Like a big gotcha.
Do you think this was his big plan? Yeah.
Maybe.
To walk in there and like ambush sort of thing.
But he's about to...
The interesting part was when they talk about censorship, because there's kind of like, that's to me why it was interesting. So he doesn't like understand the concept of censorship, because he's like, I'm just saying moderation.
And he puts like the 18-year-old... like an 18-year-old college student argument for it. He goes, what about child porn? And you're like, well, that's illegal.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Yeah. We're not censoring.
But you could tell he's like never had this conversation. Like, he doesn't understand. Like, the things Elon Musk is saying about censorship, these are like, he's the first time he's heard them, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, probably.
Like, he's really just like not familiar with this argument. But then I was kind of thinking, for Elon Musk, it's a weird one, because people are saying, they're sort of saying, well, if you're so pro free speech, why would you kick him off? Why would you kick him off the network because you didn't like him or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. That seems kind of like a petty move, some people might say.
He still gets to do a show like anything.
Well, I'm saying, but so this is where I come to. It's like, it's a weird one, because Elon Musk sort of, in my opinion, like, why put yourself in that position where now you're getting rid of him? Everyone's like, oh, if you love free speech so much, the one guy that disagrees with you, get rid of him. Technically, yes. From a technical standpoint, you go, well, yeah, that's not free speech. Like, as soon as you start paying people for a show, by nature, you're curating content, of course, right? But there is still a perception that the same reason why, like, if you're saying, like, I'm the number one free speech guy, you probably want a couple people you disagree with just to like, and look how much I care about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm even living it. So there is some element of like, I'd want to seem like I'm living this. So there is somewhat of a...
get Chris Cuomo.
No, but yes, that's kind of my point, though.
You can have that.
So do you think this was like a stupid move from Elon Musk to like think like, oh, I'll make Don Lemon that person of like the representative of like, look, I have guys I don't agree with.
Sure.
When it's one, you bring in like a weasel, he basically like, does the kind of like goes in full in against you, and then you're like, you basically have to pull the plug. Yeah, then you do look like a guy that's pulling the plug on speech you don't look like, even though, but again, from a technical standpoint, maybe there's an argument made he's not. Correct?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I get the look of it. And now there's several factors. Like, I don't know to the degree to which he boosts Tucker Carlson's content, or if Tucker Carlson just gets money, like Don Lemon was asking. Like, I don't know if Tucker Carlson gets some sort of algorithmic boost by having a deal, or is he just, his stuff's promoted normal and he just gets, because I know, like, if you look at Tucker Carlson stuff, he has pre-roll ads.
I wonder if he does have a deal now. I think he does.
No, he does. He does have a deal. And my question is like, was Don Lemon asking for 10 times as much money as Tucker Carlson? And he's, and he's just like, we don't even pay Tucker Carlson that. Why are we giving Don Lemon that? Like Don Lemon was just asking for way too much. And then I don't know. Obviously, I can see how Elon Musk, after that interview, was like,
that's what I'm saying. If I was like Elon Musk's team when they were like, okay, we're thinking about people, Don Lemon's like, not a chance next. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you think that you put himself in this position a little bit?
100%. But in terms of any negative towards X,
I guess he just doesn't give a shit.
Hey, one, he doesn't give a shit. It's not going to damage.
Well, he obviously gives somewhat of a shit because he did the interview.
Well, he did the interview because it was, he did.
So he does give somewhat of a shit about making the best moves,
Yeah. Well, I think he miscalculated that for sure.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I maybe he probably didn't think it would be that adversarial, and But I don't know. Like I don't think bringing Don Lemon onto the platform was going to bring advertisers back, for example. Like I don't know if it would be an actual net benefit for the X as a business.
Probably not.
I mean, whatever. It's just like
I think the whole purpose was to say, like, look, I have people that I disagree with, and so that backfired in some ways. That's all I'm saying. Maybe you should have just could have avoided this whole thing in the first place.
Yeah, but I guess the backfire is: will we be talking about this in 2 weeks? Probably not.
Well, that you could say that about anything. So I think that probably the moral is it was just like. If you look at it where you're kind of like, oh, we're two people with different opinions, you're like, that's not really what the case is. It's like, these are people that consider you like an enemy that would like to bring you down, which is different than someone who disagrees.
And I mean, again, any business where if you hire someone and they were like that with the guy who owns the company, probably the same thing's going to happen to anybody.
Or at least if you it wasn't part of the work. That's why it's complicated, right? Because you're like, well, what's he just not supposed to talk about you because it's his boss? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
So it is sort of a weird position. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, but any person who probably goes on any like mainstream media outlet who has a show and just starts trashing their boss is probably not going to have a show for very long.
But
it's a tough one. I know because he's like also he's the owner. He's
I'm the owner and I'm a public figure, and my whole deal is like, hey, I'm even bringing on people to talk shit about me. Like to some degree, he like almost that was the whole purpose of this.
It was a mistake. It was for sure a mistake. Also, I don't even think that Don Lemon because the problem is I think a lot of his audience left Twitter probably because they're on Threads or whatever the fuck. So I'm just.
I can't imagine Don Lemon has that many diehards.
I'm trying to see the numbers.
Is there that many lemon heads out there?
Okay, so I'm just because I wanted to get a real.
I really don't think the lemon heads are coming out that hard.
Real time. This is just impressions of this interview from Don Lemon.
Well, this interview that's different.
Well, but I'm just saying in terms of the kind of numbers that Don Lemon brings to the platform, this did 1.8 million impressions currently after. Like 2 days. It's not much. Like
that's actually not high at all.
Super low.
Well, he didn't get the retweet.
Well, that's the thing. Every retweet is like 10 impressions, right? So you're like, in terms of actual views, like this thing bombed. This thing bombed really badly. So, I mean, borderline makes the case for Elon Musk. You're like, dude, Don Lemon has 1.5 million followers.
Like there are smart people that have some, reasonable arguments about why they agree with censorship, or at least doesn't sound like like you said, like a kid.
Yeah.
Whereas his is just like, you don't really have any. You're just like, all the people that listen to me think you're bad and they want me to say that.
Yeah. And he probably, if you got in the weeds on it, wouldn't even have any good explanation.
No, there is no weeds. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What do we censor then? What do you want us to censor? And then what's the line? Like,
it is funny because people always like get mad at people who like Elon Musk. They go like, you're simping for billionaires or whatever. Because it is a little bit true where every dude sort of like, when they say they're like taxing billionaires and you're kind of like, they can't tax guys like us. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you're going to take money from Elon? It's probably like one guy, then it's me next. Like, You're just like, it's basically Elon, maybe 2-3 others, then me.
And then I'm about to lose
because that thing where they say like, like a lot of people like, they don't want you to tax rich because they see themselves as rich that just haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
I think that's me.
Yeah.
I think I'm that. I think I'm who they're talking about.
Sure.
Like when I had like no money, like for years, I still saw myself as like, yeah, but I will be rich. And
also,
you're at a point you're just like, when it hasn't happened, you're like, trust me, I'm meant to be.
Also, from a pragmatic standpoint,
then the government's gonna be taking away my billions.
The taxing the rich thing. Look, if we went ahead and taxed the rich to the extent Bernie Sanders wants to, it's not going to fix anything.
That's the other thought.
That's the other thing. You go, okay.
No, I mean, there's an argument on that too. But I think the reason I even brought this up is I think there's something good about that. Like with America, where you're kind of like so many people here. I think, and if you look at like UK, where it's a little more like class oriented, they don't have that as much. Where in America, it is a lot of people that are like, yeah, I will be rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And
be
I think
rich.
that's like, so that's why there probably is so many guys like what they would call simping for billionaires.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yeah, that could be me. And you're like, It could though.
I mean, it could.
So I think that's somewhat of like a good mentality for
mean,
a guy
dude,
to have if they're like, we're taking all this money from people who have $10 million, and you're like, and you're kind of like, oh, that's basic to me.
Dude, you could fucking win and this is like, must be the only country on earth I would guess where you can. There was that guy in California who won the lottery and he won like $900 million like after tax. Dude, it's insane.
What's he been doing? Has he been Mackenzie Bezosing it away or what?
Fuck no, man. He's been going and
building slides?
Dude, he bought 2 different properties. Like one of them was like $90 million. Like he's just been buying real estate, but he's buying these like insane multiple places. Like he bought like someplace in Malibu for like $100 million.
What kind of guy is he?
Just like a dude.
Like a cowboy guy or
cowboy? I don't know.
Where's he from?
He's from California. He's just like a regular guy from California.
Is he a California surfer guy?
No. I don't think so. I think I don't even know how to explain it. He's just a regular dude. I don't know. He probably worked like a middle class job, won fucking $900 million, and he's blowing it. But he's not blowing it because
he's buying
real estate investments. I don't know what kind of investment like $130 million house is, but.
Well, dudes that have been changing to chicks are fucking crushing it right now. We talked a
go,
little about
boys.
Luca Magnotta.
Ladies.
Right now, male Spanish soldiers are self-identifying as women to get better army digs, but only a handful are bothering to change their names. Male soldiers are self-identifying. Army Corporal Roberto, something, who registered as a female in the past 12 months, reportedly he gets a better salary now. He has nicer accommodations. And then also, he was told that his pension's gone up because women get more to compensate for inequality. He also gets a 15% more annual salary for being a mother.
Do you have to have does he have a kid? Oh, he has a kid, so
he's got kids, so he's a mother now.
I mean, look, at some point,
dude, he's fucking
stupid not to do this.
This guy, and you know what the best part is? Because out of respect for, he said he didn't want to be in the female houses out of respect for them, showering with him and stuff. Yeah. So they just gave him his own house. So he's one of the only guys that has his own digs.
Sounds pretty good.
Corporal's been allowed to maintain his beard because facial hair is permitted for women, whereas guys have to shave their beard.
What do you mean facial hair is permitted for
There's
women?
nothing in the code of conduct about women having facial hair.
Right.
So in the male conduct, there's a big thing where you're not allowed to have a beard. For females, it doesn't mention the beard.
This is just a smart guy.
It's Galaxy Brain. That's exactly what it is.
This is a smart lady. Sorry. This is a very smart lady.
He has a private room. Oh, so this guy's living the life.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because you know this, like the whole point of this is to piss the people off who made these decisions.
Of course.
And then you're just really just like putting it right in their face. And they're just like, well, the only alternative is to undo this, which is...
Or say he's lying, which is what's
well, you can't say no.
Standard
no,
then,
I mean, they said it. They set the system up where you can't be lying. So then all they could do is just get rid of this whole entire thing, which means you're like, we've been wrong for how long?
Yeah, dudes are crushing it in this. The why women's prisons are in California are passing out condoms. So in the women's prisons, the guys that transition into girls and go over to the girls' prison, they have a condom dispenser so they can smash whoever
It's
they
weird
want.
Because in the article they're like it's illegal to have sex in a prison. So at the very least,
well, it's a bit of like if you're gonna do it, I'd rather it be here and safe.
Right. They go, hey, we don't need a bunch of chicks knocked up because that's the thing, right?
A
dude could just go knock up every chick in the prison theoretically.
I know,
right? Like in a couple months, you could just turn that thing into a fucking nursery.
That's correct.
Yeah,
and I think that's. You know what I do want to say that is maybe a positive to women? So guys are figuring out this things, and they've like in situations like this where this is stupid, the guys are the ones that are going to take advantage of it and kind of push it to its logical extreme until everyone realizes it's wacky.
Yeah.
I watched the program, which is so basically they have these schools that were in New York and all over the world. It's like a real racket, and a lot of them are getting government money, and they're basically like really abusing these kids like nonstop. And Justin Silver went to it.
He went to that one specifically?
He went to the New York one.
Oh, that's crazy.
I was saying we should maybe even have him on and talk about it. Dude, it was like a whole Netflix doc about the program, and Justin was in the school, and he says he's like scarred for life for being there. He was like, you don't even know, like the program doesn't even explain it. And the one thing I'm noticed is every single one of the whistleblowers of this thing that are making the documentaries, that are going on talk shows, that are trying to get it taken away, are all women.
Yeah, of course.
So to some degree,
there was one guy. Remember at the beginning, there was one dude.
So yeah, but that is something where you're like, you do need women to like, I've kind of said this before about like bad factory conditions. Like that probably stopped when women started working there. You know what I mean?
True.
So you almost, that is like all the guys just like fucking just bury it and never talk about it ever again. Where the girls are like, this has to stop today. Like if they had never done that to girls, there would never be a Netflix doc. This should still be going on to this day. No one would be talking about it.
Yeah.
But because it was a woman, maybe a few gay guys if they would do it.
Sure.
But because it was a woman, they made it a big stink and they're like bringing this thing down. So there's sort of that energy does help when there's like a bad thing happening that you need someone to complain
Need some
about
chicks
it.
to complain. Chicks are going to complain.
Yeah.
That's true. I did wonder
It
though.
is wild what's going on there.
I did watch that thing though, and I go because
Did you not know Justin was in it?
I saw his post. I thought he went to a school like it. I didn't know he said he went to that
He
school.
said it's not that school. They're all owned by this one company.
they're all owned by this one
Dude, they have
company.
different names and
And
different
all
things.
of- yeah.
This one fucking guy who owns this $1 trillion ranch. And then nowadays, in the last while, they were doing calling the place and they basically say, hey, we have a foster kid and we want to put it in this program, and they go, oh yeah, you can get the government funding for that, so the government will pay for it.
Interesting. It
So
is
these
crazy
guys living
that
the dream, and they're all connected with the politicians and stuff like that.
They did. The crazy part is when they went there and like it's like this abandoned school, but it looks like they left like a boiler room style, like overnight. They just abandoned the place and they left all their records, and there's just
I don't get how the records got
they
left.
just like literal like DVDs of just videos of them just like punching a kid in the head.
I have no idea how that was an oversight where they left that stuff.
Not to victim blame, but couldn't some of those kids have kind of been huge pieces of shit who needed to be there though?
Well, they don't need to. Yeah, but that's fine. But it's what was happening to the kids.
Well, maybe
dude, the guy was
maybe
in that
worse
school
off.
and he fucking caused a riot because
Yeah, I
this
saw
is how
that.
dudes were dealing with
Yeah,
it. Dudes,
yeah.
like while they were there, the girls were just taking it and the guys were all getting in fights and like getting the shit kicked out of them by these COs who were just like a dude that started to be a security guard essentially. And then the guys were all forming riots and the girls were kind of taking it. Nowadays, the girls are taking this whole operation down. But the guys who formed this riot, they basically went to jail for doing that. And they go, how was jail compared to this place? And he goes, it was a 5-star fucking hotel. So
Yeah,
a lot of these dudes, so to answer your question of like, were they bad kids? Like, yeah, that's the whole premise of the school. But when you're a bad kid, it doesn't mean they can lock you in a room for 4 months.
Well, they can't hit you. You can,
Well, they were hitting you. They were
that's the-
locking them in
that's
the
the
room.
main
They were
thing is-
starving them.
Yeah, the kid-
dude, kids died there.
kids died there. I
Yes.
didn't know that. I watched like 1.5 of that.
I relate to it because I was part of a daycare fight ring, as you know. I don't know if I've talked about this when Johnny was here, but when I was a kid,
That's so funny.
I was in a daycare, and what happened is this is like when I was before kindergarten. I would go to this daycare where my parents were at work, and they would lock us. They had 15 kids, and they put us in this room probably about this big, and they locked the door, and they just left you there for 3 hours. And they wouldn't feed you, and they wouldn't do anything like that. And then basically you'd have to knock on the door, and every once in a while she'd come down like every hour and basically take someone to the bathroom if they had to go. So she had the racket of the lifetime. She's probably getting $50 a kid.
Yeah.
She's got $1,000 a day, and she just puts them in a room for 3 hours, locks the door, and then doesn't fucking even. Once in a while, she'd come down with orange slices. So, and then basically, I sort of told my mom about it. I was a whistleblower, and then
What was your record?
what?
What was your fight record? Do you remember?
Well, kids would. It wasn't that you had to fight; it's kids would fight. Though.
Right, yeah.
Well, they just put a bunch of kids down there, and then if you get in a fight, there's no one
Yeah, there's
watching
nobody to
it.
break it up.
So there's tons of fights. I remember just one kid had a permanent runny nose. I always remember that. And then so you're in this fight club. Everyone's just locked in a basement. Like if one of the kids got hurt, no one would know until you start banging on the door, and then she'd come down from watching her programs and hopefully I'll let you out. So anyways, I told my mom about it after a while that I was not loving being locked in this fucking room for 3 hours a day. And then she basically took me out of it because my mom was sort of like, what? I didn't know that. And I'd been there for 3 weeks or so. They take me out of it. 3 days later, we see this fucking thing on the news parading kids out of there with towels on them. Like the police raided the place, took her operation down, the Sarah McLachlan music with the fucking towels on them. And that would have been me. So I'm always killing my mom about this, how she put us in the fight ring, but she doesn't take it because she remembers the story as being the hero that took me out of it. She's rewritten it to like,
Your mom's a whistleblower.
she's rewritten it to like I said said something in passing, and she had such lightning quick like hearing
yeah,
that she
yeah.
heard me and then marched down there and took me out of there.
Your mom's probably just, the 80s were a crazy time, Ryan.
Well, I'm always going in on her that she put me in a fight ring. I still remember. So as a guy that's a survivor.
I mean, that is a common thing, though. There is like lots of stories of these things, like even now, where the
woman went to jail for like fucking 15 years.
Wow. Damn.
Well, anyways, I was thinking that could be interesting to have Justin on, but
yeah. Talk about his time.
Okay, there's so much going on, and then we have there's a crazy Google one. There's 5 or 6 pretty good things going on the patreon.com/theboyscast. I will be in Boston this week, and then Winnipeg, Atlanta, San Diego, Houston, Austin, New Zealand, Australia. Australia. So it's been the tour has been a banger. DC was really fun. So Danny, where are you going to be?
I'm going to Fairfield, Connecticut in April 13th, Hamilton, Ontario, April 19th, 20th, and then Dallas and Edmonton and Vancouver and Minneapolis.
Okay. We'll see you guys on the other side of the Patreon, where we know how I've mentioned gun range a couple times for the Bugman versus Bugman.
Yeah.
Well, someone from our Patreon sent us a big thing being like, he has this gun range and he's like one of the guys who runs it or whatever. And he's like, he wrote this big thing of like we could do this and this and the training and this and this.
Where is it?
So he, Florida, I think we'd fly there, but I think we're fine to fly somewhere for the Patreon.
Yeah, for sure.
So for 3,000, I was leaning towards the gun competition.
And was it going to be like, is it going to be one of those like pure marksman, or is it one of those like courses?
I think it's marksman.
Okay.
But we could figure out what it is. But my guess would be marksman's situation.
All right.
Or we could just do a straight out running race. Danny doesn't want to fucking step in the arena on those kind of skills.
I got no chance.
Fucking game of puck 1-on-1.
But
I'm
out on the ice like a fucking
We'll
baby
announce
deer.
it next week if we're official, but I'm leaning towards that. It seems like a pretty good thing.
I'm down.
Patreon.com/theboyscast. Peace.